Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to me and you at Starcraft. So, wait.
Executor, I sense that Zeratul and his brethren are close by, but I have been unable to make contact with them. I fear they may be in grave danger. We must scour this area immediately and find the Dark Templar, lest they be overcome by the Zerg.
I like this mission. It's a fun one. It's very simple, too. It's just...
Yes, Executor? Yes, Executor?
There we go. Whoop, 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 whoop. There we go. Alright. So, let's go try and save these people. Time to make a stand, Magistrate Matt Horner, who is Matt Horner, and I don't care what Blizzard says. L. L. Oh my god, really? That was disastrous. Wow! Wow, that's a lot of dead people. Yikes. Darkrai, there is no difference, as we know. Yes, I am feeling a bit better. Thank you, Baronessa. Hello, Baronessa Plates, Aded, Shadow, Krenzler, Funkin, Cosmic, Black Salamander, Corrales, Schmeidolf. What's up, everyone?
How may I help?
Yeah, there's a lot of dead Terrans around here. Yikes. Yeah, this might actually need a restart, or cheats, you know, one of the two. Okay, fine.
Yes, Executor?
Sure, Nerazaz, go ahead.
Your will?
So, really quick, anybody in the national campaign, this is Thursday. That means we will be doing turn 3 today, just making it a heads up. Everyone be aware that that'll happen after we finish streaming for the evening. But that is a thing that's happening today.
Your will?
Hello, Kemek. Oh, crud. Okay, never mind. If you really want to. Okay.
Your will? Yes, Executor?
I like the idea that the Terrans left here are just like, can we just go with you? By the way, considering their color, well, I'm pretty sure these are some of Rainer's Raiders. So, you know.
Yes, Executor?
Yeah. Oh my god, pathfinding!
Your will? Tarakala!
No, I'm not, Corrales. It'll come out next week, and I'll play it in like 2 weeks. The end. Oh no, join the party. So, for those of you who haven't played the original StarCraft, back in the day, the infested Terrans were suicide bombers. That was the only thing they could do, was walk up and commit suicide. We're just gonna do this here. So they just went straight for Tassadar. They're like, now. Next Lorerun, I don't know yet. I need to get caught up on my recording to get stuff, to get Voyager, which everyone's asking for, and Fallout, and Primus, and all that fun stuff going again, and to finish the Zelda Ruminations. And I need to stream this, finish this Lorerun, and I need to finish streaming Fallout 4, which I will be doing as well. So at the moment, I don't even have an ETA for the next Lorerun. Nor do I intend to anytime soon. The moment I do have an ETA, though, I'll actually put out an announcement video saying, hey! So. Yeah, I got a ton of work to do. It's one of the reasons I'm getting a little bit more inclined towards cheating, at least in the original Starcrafts, because, I kind of... These missions, don't make it wrong, I actually rather enjoy the original Starcraft and Brood War, but it is a little more time-consuming and than the Starcraft 2 stuff. And I got to be honest, if I'm being 100% honest and fair with myself, I'm looking forward to playing through Starcraft 2 and Heart of the Swarm a little bit more than I am playing this one. So, I wanted to mention that as well. You notice there are both white and purple Zerg here. We don't actually remember... That is true, Grode. And I know you're probably making fun of me for saying that, but in my opinion, the original StarCraft has just some damned hard missions due to some... basically artifacts in game design. It's the old Warcraft 2 thing all over again. It is actually possible to get yourself into a corner. To basically engender a situation within a mission where your only real option is to restart the mission because you have basically lost. You've run out of resources, or you haven't got enough of a foothold, or the enemy has advanced too far, or whatever. This is a huge problem in old RTSs when they basically weren't designed well enough, and so the way they would do things like artificial difficulty is they would basically tailor the map such that you are limited rather than the enemy has strength or cunning or whatever. And again, they didn't have that much in the way of scripting they could do back in the day, so that was a thing too. Most of the scripts they had access to in the original StarCraft were basically, you go here, then this happens, but this was also pretty limited, and you get where I'm going with all this. Regardless, yeah, I've had that happen more than once myself in Warcraft 2. I remember a specific mission, I don't remember where it was, but you start off on like this little island thing, which is in the southeast corner, and then the enemy is on a separate island in the very far north, and it's kind of like at an angle like this, and you have to get a beachhead up there and invade, and you've got this one gold mine, and that's it. And I remember that mission because I used to fail it all the damn time. Because I would run out of resources, not have accomplished a beachhead, and that's it. You have to start over. You guys have even seen me fail at several missions through this lore run where I have had a resource shortage and a resource problem. And in some cases I can work my way around that, but for the most part, that's basically start over. But I'm not, like, criticizing per se, I'm just explaining one of the reasons why... I am a terrible player. Oh, okay. Never mind. We're going this way now. So let's talk about Protoss procreation. I think that's a good thing to talk about, right, guys? Everyone's interested in that, right? Because it's the internet, and that's all anyone's interested on the internet. It's procreation. Believe it or not, I actually looked into this. Seriously. I really did. I was like, you know what? I'm curious. How the hell how does Protoss work? Apparently they actually covered that. See, the Protoss do actually have, yeah, it is, Chemic. That's absolutely correct. Protoss do have sexual reproduction, as I anticipated, because they have males and females. I mean, if you have a male and a female on the same species, that's generally the reason for that. The interesting thing, though, is the Protoss apparently have no reproductive drive at all. Well, see, I looked this up, Chemic, because remember how we were talking about how the species has basically stagnated? Apparently, I was more accurate with that than I thought, because the Protoss numbers have dwindled significantly, because the Protoss have no real reproductive drive. They don't have any sexual urges for all intents and purposes. They only reproduce for the sake of the species. In other words, unlike, say, humans... Oh, that's just terrifying. Why did I click that? Unlike, say, the species of humanity... who do that for reasons other than making babies. The Protoss only do it for making babies. Damn it, psychotic. Now, the funny thing is, they have such intense disinterest in reproducing that the Zelnaga had to make an artificial solution for the problem, which they called the Cassia Crystal. I had to check my notes there to see how I would pronounce that. The Cassia Crystal... Actually, yes, Krenzo, that happened to humans even in Star Trek, who used cloning. The Cassia Crystal was literally a device that aided the Protoss in actually having a reproductive drive. Yeah, basically chemic. That's pretty much exactly what it is. Nice, psychotic. Oh, hey, mind if we tag along? It's actually interesting because apparently the Cassia... There was actually a small section of one of the books that entirely dealt with the Cassia Crystal. Hello, Corwin. That, two Protoss actually killed themselves. They became an Archon in order to secure the crystal and get it to Shakuras when Ire fell. Now, this is interesting because if they hadn't done that, the Protoss would probably be extinct. And I'm not making that up. If it wasn't for the fact that they got that crystal to Shakuras and were able to replenish their numbers on Shakuras, there would be no Legacy of the Void, because the Protoss would have basically died out from the losses in numbers. So, I just think that's kind of interesting. And as was pointed out earlier, the old elf effect, you know, after a certain period of time, after you've been alive for so long, you just don't care anymore. Another interesting thing about the Protoss I learned. Did you know that the Protoss are tall? No, seriously though. In all actuality, the other interesting thing I found out is the Protoss actually generate... Okay, so we talked about how the Zerg produce energy and whatnot. Obviously the Protoss don't eat because they have no mouths, but they have to have some kind of input for energy, otherwise, you know, how the heck do they function? They actually literally absorb light as their food source. The Cassia Crystal, Black Salamander. I believe it's 2 to 4 meters is what was quoted, Shadow. But anyways,
Greetings, Dark One. I have come to bring you home.
Greetings to you, mighty Tassadar. I knew that you would not forsake us. For in the time that you have spent with us, you have learned to value our ways and our methods. You have learned to channel our dark power, as well as that of your masters. And thus you alone have found completeness beyond the scope of the Kala. But I fear that the Conclave in its pride could never bring itself to welcome outcasts such as we.
Outcasts though you may be, it is your vision and courage that may yet save our homeworld from the swarm. I beg of you, Zeratul, return with us to Ire. Though they are petty and have in ignorance cursed your kind for generations, help me save our people.
Since our banishment long ago, we have never failed in our responsibility to Ire. Though it shall cause us great pain to see our homeland once more, we shall return with you, Tassadar. We will do what we can.
Greetings, Executor, and greetings to you, Tassadar. I am overjoyed to see you both return home in this dark hour. The Zerg have redoubled their efforts, and it seems that I have...
It can't be. The Executor told me of how you fell before the Zerg. How is it that you live and breathe?
Well, after my unfortunate defeat, my ruined body was recovered by our brethren. I now reside within the cold robotic shell of a dragoon.
Old friend, would that this never came to pass.
Nonsense! There is no shame in defeat, so long as the spirit is unconquered, and I am still able to serve Aya to a degree. But enough of this. There is much you both need to know. You have been branded as traitors by Alderus and the Conclave. Even now they seek to arrest you and execute the Dark Templar of Zeratul.
I never believed that they would go so far. In the face of total annihilation, they still cling to their failing traditions.
Yes, and that makes them all the more dangerous. They hunt you even now, Tassadar. And though I damn myself by doing so, I shall stand by you till the end.
En Taro Adun, noble Phoenix. Executor, it seems that if our world is to live, we must protect the Dark Templar from our own brethren. Although it pains me greatly, not even the Conclave shall stand in our way.
So, time for the Protoss Civil War. And not the last one.
Executor, you and the traitor Tassadar are to cease your resistance and surrender yourselves to the judgment of the Conclave. We will take the outlaw Zeratul into custody and deal with him as is written by the Kala's law.
Flee back to your masters, Alderus, and huddle with them in darkness. For your actions shall send us all unto the Zerg.
Okay, so. Run! Run! What are you people doing? No! Kill them! Quick! Yeah, okay. Except they've got a guy. Run! Run! Flee! Flee! Hey Zeratul. What's up, dude? Hey Silver Dragoon. What's up, dude? So yes, I wanted to talk about dragoons, because dragoons are awesome. Actually, dragoons are kind of terrifying. If you think of it for a moment. Okay, there we go. We've got the audio set up. We're under attack. Oh, I've got a solution for that. Ooh, go, kill. Okay, I'm willing to cheat on this mission because this is a long, irritating mission. Protoss versus Protoss is just an aggravation, if I'm being honest. And we still don't have access to some actually, you know, some good Protoss units, so I'll do a later mission, legit, because I want to. And you can't stop me! Anyways, Fat Ginger, I never answered your question. The intent is to grow my hair back out all the way. This is just an in-process thing. Obviously, because I can't just go... That'd be cool if I could do that. But seriously, the idea is to get this all the way back down to the way it used to be with my long hair. So that's why I'm growing it out. There are other reasons, but, you know. You know, aggravation does have a solution. I'm just saying. Let's talk about dragoons. So, Phoenix! Dragoons are actually kind of terrifying when you really think about it. It's very Protoss, though. It's very, you know, non-wasteful. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. There we go. If you want to actually sit down and, you know, die, you have to... Okay, so I did a little research. Let me start with this. Good morning, Deutsch. I did a little research. Apparently, there actually are 2 types of situations in which the Protoss vanish into a burst of light after death. Number 1 is, of course, what I mentioned, because their energy is actually reclaimed by the Kala. That's not surprising. That's exactly what I imagined that was. The other time, though, is that emergency teleport thing that you guys were all talking about. I find that hilarious because it means that we were actually both correct about that. Just a second, answering a question on Twitter here. we are. So that's kind of cool. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The most of the time, when their bodies are recovered, either from the emergency teleport or from the lack of an emergency teleport, because they lack the energy to be teleported, and Phoenix is probably an example of this case, well, let's just say that they're still damaged to the point where they're not dead, but they're, for all intents and purposes, disabled for the remainder of their extremely lengthy lives. Which leaves us with some poor sods who, you know, can't actually function and do much of anything. Now, the Protoss, being the pragmatic people they are, think that service to the Kala is the most important thing of all. Insert your own joke here. They're all good. But the point is, they don't think... This is so Protoss. They don't think it's a terrible thing to be locked into a metal shell for the rest of their lives. They think it is an honor to be able to give their lives and their freedom and their sanity for the Kala, for you know, the good of the people. Which brings me to an interesting point. You know, we've talked about the various storylines of the races. The Protoss storyline could basically be described by the phrase the drive towards collectivism versus the drive towards individuality, and I do stress that versus part because, yeah, the two are very much in conflict at the very least within the Protoss, or excuse me, within the Starcraft setting. There they are. So I've got that. I've got that. I don't really need that, but I kind of would like that. Let's get that going. And like Samurai said, a dragoon is basically being locked into a wheelchair, and I do mean locked in. You are never leaving that wheelchair for the rest of your life, basically to do whatever. And yeah, it is actually a very Space Marine thing. While you and I might look at being in a dreadnought or being a dragoon as just this terrible, you know, fate worse than death, they're like, yes, it is an honor to give the rest of my life in service of this noble cause and all that fun idea. And so the other interesting thing about dragoons is they are very indicative of Protoss technological progression. Basically, the dragoons are one of the most advanced things the Protoss have ever come up with. I'm being serious about this, by the way. The Protoss, as I've already mentioned, absorb light to survive. You know, the photosynthetic thing. Insert your own Metal Gear Solid 5 joke here. They're all good. And they still also need water, which they absorb through their skins. And hello. Wait. So the dragoon is basically, it's the shell like before, but it also functions as a mobile light collector, a mobile solar plant, basically, which is able to pull in light, not just to power itself, but to power the Protoss within, and the Protoss within then uses some of his own power he pulls in order to push back into the dragoon. And then the weapon of the dragoon, well, the weapon of the dragoon is your fairly typical, this is a Protoss weapon. In other words, it is energy being outputted from the through the Kala of the Protoss in order to manifest it into those blasts of doom that they shoot out. Yes, I believe that is the literal term, blast of doom. Of course, Nothrzem. It's the way to be. Yeah, I think we're good on that. Oh, whoops, we should get... God, I'm stupid. Now, but the Dragoons, I think, are most interesting because they shine a light on Protoss society. They are so stagnant, so locked in to the way they think and the way they function that the very idea of doing anything else other than locking their injured near dead into an eternal servitude doesn't even occur to them. In fact, that's not even as bad as they are, because even someone like Phoenix, who I want to stress is an intelligent individual who isn't exactly bound by the dogma of the state, still thinks that it's a good thing to be locked in like that. What was my resource? I don't actually have enough, do I? No, I don't. That sucks. Oh, wait a moment. Actually, we have... Yep. Um, Deutsch, you are not a free off. Or maybe you are. Like I said, even someone like Phoenix, who is a more progressive-minded, has a brain, good frontline officer, is the kind of person who's like, no, it's totally cool to be enslaved like this rest of my life. I mention this because it's very indicative of the fact that it's not just the Conclave that's the problem with Protoss society, if I could put it in such blunt terms. It is the entirety of Protoss culture, which brings me to the topic I wanted to talk about as we push through this map, because this is a perfect map to talk about it. That would actually make a lot of sense, Grote. Yep. So I mentioned yesterday one of the reasons why it's so understandable that Protoss society is the way it is. One of the other reasons, though, from a purely sociological perspective of why I think it's so understandable, if regrettable, why the Protoss are so, let's just put this honestly, stupid, is because of everything they went through. The Aeon of Strife lasted a really, really long time. In fact, it lasted a stupidly long period of time. And okay, let me rewind a bit. We here in real life, I've ranted many times about how stupid people are in corporations, right? Japanese corporations and American corporations, primarily because those are the only two I know anything about. But I've ranted about how of dinosaur mentality. For those of you who have not heard me rant about this, allow me to explain in brief. Dinosaur mentality is when you have no understanding. Sure. You all asked me to turn up the music, and then you'd ask me to turn down the music. God, make up your minds. There. So, dinosaur mentality is when you are someone who is in charge of a company or a corporation, and you're like, aha, we must charge forward, and we will do what we have always done, and refuse to acknowledge the change of the times, or new trends, or new technology, or new ideals, or new paradigms, and just basically being straightforward, unchanging mentality. And it's one of the reasons I get so pissed off about, probably Baronessa, about the things that, for example, Square Enix does. I've actually ranted about how stupid Nintendo's corporate side is, even though I think the developers at Nintendo are still awesome. The corporate side of Nintendo makes me want to just smack them, because it's like, God, really, people? Really? Because they aren't adjusting, they aren't adapting, they aren't acknowledging that the times have changed. They aren't moving forward as, other people are. And it's a symptom. The reason this happens, well, there are actually multiple reasons this happens, but I can tell you at least two reasons why this happens. It's because they're old and they refuse to change. And I stress that old part because that is actually relevant. It's not just, oh, you're just an old fogey, you can't get with the times. It is genuinely harder for a human being who is older to change. If you are 5, it is easier for you to accept a fundamental change in your life than if you are 15, or if you're 25, or if you're 55. And the older you get, the harder it gets to actually adapt and learn. Because, I mean, this just makes sense. See you around, Dragoon. It just gets harder and harder, not yet, Tripium, to adjust your brain. You have spent so much of your life patterning yourself after this mentality that it's stuck in your brain. This is a literal thing. This is just the way the mind works. You with me? So imagine that, except your lifespan is measured in centuries. This is what we have as a problem. See, the Aeon of Strife happened about 3,000 years ago. I actually looked up the timeline. It's a little vague on that, and understandably so. But it was about 3,000 years prior to now, right about the time when human beings were just going through their own dark age, ironically. That's when Adun showed up, and the Kala and all that. Or not Adun, excuse me, wrong person. That's when Kas showed up and started reintroducing the Kala and blah, 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 blah. So I mention this because we are at absolute most 4 generations. I would say it's more likely we are 3 generations on when it comes to Protoss society. Now think about 3 generations in human terms. My grandparents are still alive and well and still doing their thing. My grandmother, who is a wonderful person, who is smart, intelligent, and well-reasoned, just got her first computer ever last year. Or actually 2 years ago, excuse me, 2 years ago now. That's, no, 3,000 years ago as of their time, Shadow, which is, I actually wrote this down, the year 2500. So that would have been about the year 500 for us. Or wait, no, I'm doing my math wrong. That would have been the year 500 BC. Excuse me, 500 BC. I'm stupid. So my timeline was off there. Sorry. I was thinking of the Adun incident, which actually happened in 1500 AD. We're on the Protoss Civil War, Titans. Yeah, my great-grandparents used to still be alive. My great-great-grandparents used to still be alive. But my point is, I actually knew my great-great-grandmother, and she was awesome. But my point I'm trying to get to here is, that's 3 generations for us. Think about how many leaders who are in charge of the government, just here in the States, who have no idea about how the internet works. You know, I was just talking about this just the other day, about how they're trying to add legislation to things they don't fully understand, in ways that don't fully work. Every time I've ranted about people who make the music license industry just this mess, every time I've railed against the fact that the copyright law is completely broken, it's always been directed at people like that, older people who are in the suits, who are in charge of the corporations, who have no idea what they're doing, and are just trying to cling to the way things were. I hate to say this in such a derogatory manner, but the mere fact that that newspapers still exist is in the way that they do is indicative of my point. The mere fact that there is still such a stranglehold on the music industry, and people are just getting, even the actual creators, the music, the musicians themselves are getting completely screwed over by the labels, is indicative of this problem, of this philosophy of dinosaur just charge on. And it pisses me off. So anyways, my point in all this is I'm just shining a light on how Protoss society works. Because again, thousands of years, we're like 3 generations from the Aeon of Strife. Aeon of Strife. God, I can't pronounce that word. The Aeon of Strife. And it shows. I mention this because even though the Conclave is stupid, it is understandable why they're so stupid. They are motivated in the exact same way the Jedi Order are over in Star Wars, which I've also ranted against, although I've also tried to not so much as defend as explain, because it is understandable why the Jedi are so damned terrified of the dark side. But their own fear creates the problem. It always has. Every single incident of the Jedi and the Protoss both, having internal strife or having some kind of problem with the Dark Templar or with Tassadar or with anything else, has always been because they are so afraid they have created a problem where none otherwise existed. And yeah, they, I was gonna say, Shadow, what the heck? No, we aren't. So it is understandable their fear, their incredible, just terrifying, oh God, how do we deal with this? How do we move forward? How do we function with this terrifying just aspect of because they are so afraid of the Aeon of Strife. That's the thing. That's what they're afraid of in this case. They are afraid of another Aeon of Strife. And they are so afraid of it that they're willing to cause another one just to try and prevent one from happening. Which, I mean, sounds illogical, but actually makes total sense in its illogic, if I'm making my point clear here. Again, not trying to defend the Conclave per se, just trying to explain. Hey, Leander. Words. Yeah, seriously, Bregman. Hey, Sulfura. So, let me check my notes here because I had something else. Right. So this is also the other reason why it's so understandable that their culture is so damned stagnant. Let me put it to you this way. Let's say that you are part of a culture. Just call it humanity for the sake of argument. And you have actually hit a golden age. After wars and strife and terribleness and all this horrible stuff, you hit what is effectively a golden age. Let's call this post-World War II. Actually, that's a lie. The actual golden age in the modern era is most considered by some people, including me, to be right after the Cold War, the winds of change era. Hello, unborn gymnast. we're at the Winds of Change era. We are at... no, Leander. We are at the everything is great era, and you're one of those people who was aware of the previous era, and you know about how bad the previous era was, the Cold War, and World War II just before it, and it's like, oh god, we would do so much, we would do virtually anything to ensure that we never go back to those dark times. Now, take that and just crank it up to 11. That extreme perspective is exactly what the Protoss did. They looked at the horribleness of the Aeon of Strife and said, whoa, 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 we don't want that again. But now everything's been fixed. We have this new method of functioning. We have the Kala, we have the teachings of Kas. We need to never change anything again. Now, I've spoken before about innovation and how I believe it's important in basically all aspects of everything. But I have to admit, it is totally understandable why they would take that approach, why they would take that perspective. Because the Aeon of Strife was just so terrible, and now they've finally gotten just one thing that isn't like that anymore. It's like, oh, thank God. Oh, quick, don't change anything. We don't want to go back to the Aeon of Strife. God, please, we don't want to go back. And it's that fear that locks them in. It's that fear that keeps the Conclave so stupid. I think it was a very good move on behalf of the writers of this game, of Starcraft, that we never ever meet a member of the Conclave. They all are this sort of faceless, nameless, voiceless force from beyond that is just trying to keep the society colluded in on itself, because I feel like that's actually how it would be for real, for Protoss citizens, in character, so to speak. The idea that they would never even know their own Conclave, because the Conclave are so segregate and so separate from the rest of society, of Protoss society, that they just stay up there in their crystal towers and lead from on high, and basically their only policy is don't change anything. Just like their forefathers did, and their forefathers did, and possibly another layer of forefathers. Again, 3 to 4 generations there. And you'll notice I mentioned specifically that, we have no voice of them. And you're probably thinking, well, what about the Judicators? We actually do have a Judicator who we have a voice for. That's Aldaris. And we will continue to be seeing him evolve and grow as we continue forward. And that's really the funny thing. Even Aldaris, who is a mouthpiece of the Conclave, isn't really as bad as they are. He follows the party line for the same reason most Protoss follow the party line, because it's what they've always done. And yet even Aldaris, a Judicator, whose job is to be a mouthpiece for the Conclave, still has the ability, and will demonstrate the ability, to think for himself and move past the dogma and doctrine of the Conclave and the old ways. And I just think that's actually really cool and awesome that they did that. It's one of the reasons I like Aldaris as a character. In the interest of fairness, the other reason I like Aldaris as a character is because Paul Edding is freaking awesome, but, whatever. Yeah. So let me just shine two more additional lights, on the mentality of the Conclave. Dune, as I mentioned, was 1,500 years ago, which would have put him at about the year 1000 AD, using our calendar, and at about 1000 AD, a man named Adun showed up and was involved when the Dark Templar crisis happened. And when the Dark Templar ended up being like, we want to leave. Rashagal was actually still alive at that point in time. Now, I mention that because average Protoss lifespan is actually about 1,000. They're fairly typical, Krogan/Asari level lifespan. There's a number of species who hit that 1,000 mark, the 10 times mark, if you want to call it that. Rashagal is actually damned old, even for a Protoss. No slight against her. I'm just mentioning that she was actually the leader of the Dark Templar before they were even called the Dark Templar, when Adun was still around, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So, during that incident, Adun was questioning the Conclave's decision to genocide an entire group of their own people. For some reason. I mean, I don't know why you'd question such a perfectly sense-making order. I mean, it came from the Conclave. And I actually want to pull out this quote word for word, because this just, this is the Protoss in a nutshell. Give me a moment. I gotta find the quote now. Hang on. Where now? Come on. This is the Conclave speaking to Adun. There are many things we know which you do not. That is why we are the leaders of the Protoss, and you wield a sword when we tell you to. That quote says a lot about the Conclave, in my opinion, and the sheer arrogance of the Conclave. Now, I mentioned before the understandable, natural arrogance from experience that the Protoss in general have. But that's different. The Conclave arrogance I just mentioned, that is completely different. What we have there is just this raw superiority complex that is ill-deserved. That's sheer, oh, I am superior to you. You're a mere soldier. You could not possibly fathom the great depths of my brilliance. And that's pretty much the Conclave in a nutshell. AKA, I am right because a piece of paper says I'm right. I use that example because we as human beings have that problem a lot. If I can diverge for just a moment. Some people, well, you know, I don't want to get into that. I was just going to talk about social contracts and whatnot. But, yeah, it is basically the argument of I am in charge and therefore I am right. And I shouldn't even begin to explain how much of a fallacy that is, especially coming from the Conclave. But I've got another thing to share about the Conclave and their brilliance and their sheer wisdom of being incredible dolts. Once upon a time, the Conclave decided, you know what? We could keep having these other Protoss who serve our every whim as what is effectively, you know, tools. And it has been mentioned many times that the Conclave viewed the Templar as tools. But no, that's not good enough. Why don't we create a semi-sentient robotic race whose entire purpose is to be not tools, but slaves, something whose only purpose is to serve us. Now, I guess I'm actually using my terminology a bit wrong here, so let me explain it a bit better. They tend to look at the Templars as, okay, you know, we acknowledge that you exist and we have to baby you as beings, even if you only exist for our purposes. But they just didn't think anything of these robots they created. They were called the Purifiers. And I don't even have words, but imagine how most people in Star Wars, most people, I want to stress, treat droids in Star Wars. Or, you remember that mage in Dragon Age Origins that we never see, except for his corpse, who found Shale's control rod and used her to such a ridiculously abusive extent because at no point in time did he acknowledge her as a being or something worthy of consideration. That's how the Conclave treated the Purifiers. Now, for some reason, the Purifiers, which were created to be intelligent, I remind you, and arguably had the droid effect going for them, aka slowly and gradually growing sentience and sapience through extended interaction experience, they didn't like that for some reason, and the Purifiers actually rebelled and managed to kill quite a few Conclave on their way out. I find that hilarious, by the way. It's also one of the reasons, however, that Protoss technology has not been advancing so much. One of the reasons. Because the Conclave was like, whoa, clearly that's a dead end. Why don't we ban all AI research so we don't have another Geth situation? And I know I sound like I'm joking, but honestly the parallels are quite striking. One of the biggest reasons why Protoss technology has basically not evolved past servitor robots and augmented magic technology, even though they have the power and the understanding and the time and the resources to become incredibly advanced beings. Shoot, did I miss it? Damn it, I missed the... Well, in case you can't read that, Tassadar has surrendered to the Conclave because he is so ripped up internally. He is just being mentally destroyed by the fact that Protoss are killing Protoss. To him, that is just a terrifying, disgusting, horrible thing to happen.
Tassadar of the Templar, by your actions, you have severed yourself from the mercy of your brethren. You refuse to destroy the Terran worlds as was commanded. You have questioned time and time again the sacred will of the Conclave, and you have abandoned your home world in its darkest hour. Most grievous of all is that you have allied yourself with the blasphemous Dark Ones, and learned to utilize their profane powers in tandem with our own. What say you, O fallen Templar?
Aldaris, I submit myself to the Conclave's judgment. But know this, given the same choices again, I would surely have made them. I have sacrificed all that our world might live. I have sullied my honor. I have discarded my rank and standing. I have even broken our most ancient traditions. But never think that I would for one moment regret my actions. For I am Templar, and above all else, I have sworn to protect our homeworld till the end.
So, what Leander said, I totally agree with. I think if the Protoss and the Terrans truly had an actual scientific pact between them, the Xel'Naga would be like, whoa, what is that stuff? We actually see a little bit of this in Wings of Liberty, where I'll be talking about the technology thing a little bit more. It is also entirely feasible that the Terrans could surpass the Protoss in technology, not anytime soon, but just because of the nature of the Terrans and the way they innovate. Also, I do like that, in Aya's darkest hour. I want to point out again, just picture Aldaris for this scene, right? Picture Aldaris is doing this. You have abandoned us in your time of need. You have flaffity flu, flum flammity blum blum flum. He literally sounds like he's reading off a piece of paper. And I mention that because I'm pretty sure he actually is. I mean, not literally paper, but, he is literally reading the speech given to him by the Conclave. And I don't know if this is 100% true or not, but I would put money down that that is exactly what's happening. And it just really hammers in that whole mouthpiece of the Conclave problem that Aldaris has in the first game. I actually feel kind of bad for him in a way. I mean, how do you argue against that? Well, why doesn't he just use his own mind to think for himself? He always has been in this job. I mean, how old is Aldaris, for God's sakes? How long has he been a mouthpiece of the Conclave? Oh, yeah, that's another thing. Aldaris isn't even here. That's another thing. That's Phoenix right there. That's Tassadar right there, in the midst of the fight. Aldaris is off in his fortress, sipping wine, mint juleps, except they don't. So to sip, he just kind of splashes it on his face and absorbs it through his skin. Yeah. I would not call Protoss evil. No, absolutely not. I could think of very few Protoss, individuals, I should say, that I would call evil. That being said, the Conclave is... Well, I'll talk about it during the next mission. Is this... Wait, what mission are we on? I'll go ahead and talk about this right now. Yeah, misguided is an excellent word. There are two interpretations for what the Conclave are. Interpretation 1, 1984. This is a group of people who are at top of the heap, who control the Protoss people, and who like... Yeah, exactly, Tripium. And who like being on top of the heap. They want to maintain power. They want to maintain themselves at the top, so they continue to ensure the progress of the Protoss way and culture, just like they always have, because it benefits them. I don't actually agree with this interpretation, but it is a valid interpretation. There's nothing denying it. Interpretation 2. Interpretation 2 is what I already told you. These are people who are dinosaurs. Not literally. They're not T-Rexes in the Conclave, although that'd be kind of cool. But, they're people who are just slumbering forward just like their ancestors did, just like their ancestors did, and just like their ancestors did. They have always been taught to believe this is the law, period, and we must follow it to the letter at all times, regardless of circumstances. It's funny because Baronessa, who is involved in legality, would probably even agree with me this. I tend to be very violently against legality, but one of the biggest reasons why is because most of the time legality is treated as writ law. In other words, if I write down on this piece of paper right here, it is illegal to jump, and some people treat this as if there's no such thing as an exception. There's no such thing as an interpretation. There's no such thing as an intention. There's no such thing as how it is applied in real life. The F to be following the law, period, end of statement. And that's what the Conclave is doing. They're not thinking, in other words. They're just doing what they always did because they're always doing it. You know? Oh. What's this cutscene? Carrier has arrived! Oh, sorry. Yes! And Jimmy! What? I'm excited. Tassadar was taken into Judicator custody and sentenced to stand trial for his crimes against the Conclave. Phoenix, Raynor, and Tassadar's followers, including myself, Artanis, escaped from the Conclave's agents as the Dark Templar slipped away in the chaos. Okay, I know which mission we're on. 3 missions left.
All seems lost now, but still we must fight on. We must find Tassadar and secure his release from the Judicator before they can execute him for treason. Without him, I fear there is no way to defeat the Zerg and their overmind. Zeratul and his Dark Templar have vanished, leaving us to fend for ourselves. I wonder if Tassadar was mistaken to have put his trust in them. We are receiving a transmission from Captain Raynor's command ship.
This is Raynor. I'd like to help if I can. Tassadar laid it on the line for me and my crew on Char. I'd like to repay the debt. Besides, I'm a long way from home, surrounded by hostile aliens. I've got to do something.
Then you shall, bold human. You shall.
I think it is telling of Raynor, and we'll talk about this in Wings of Liberty as well, that he is basically the only human who has ever formed long-term relationships, alliances, and has, this is important, earned the respect of the Protoss. Why do I say that's significant? I'm gonna put... Oh. Yes! Carrier has arrived! I was right. This is the first carrier mission. We're doing this one without cheats. Hey, look, it's the Hyperion. The Hyperion. Anyways, when the Conclave, well, I shouldn't just put this on the Conclave, but it is kind of on the Conclave. When they first discovered the humans, their reaction was, okay, that's an interesting animal. And that was pretty much their reaction. And they just kind of followed, you know, they were like, okay, there's an animal, whatever. Nobody gives a damn. And then, not too long afterwards... Oh, hang on. Go deal with this. Not too long afterwards, the Zerg incurred it. In fact, I actually have the timeline here. Give me just a moment here. In the year 2323 is the year when the Terrans arrived in the Caprulu sector. And the year 2500 was the year of the Brood War, which means 2497 would have been when the Zerg first were discovered by the Protoss. So a couple centuries. I think it's actually about 3 centuries. The Protoss' reaction to the Terrans was, and I'm just going to quote word for word here, that they were worthless. Like, yes, Terrans are humans. Like, they were completely irrelevant. They literally thought of them. When I say they were like animals, I'm not actually kidding about that. They literally thought of them as we would think of... Well, that's a bad example. As we would think of a dog. Actually, that's another bad example. The point is, they were considered completely worthless. And so their reaction was, nope, kill them all. Because it's not like anything would be lost. And this was not just the impression of the Conclave, although they were a big part of this problem. That was the the impressions of the Protoss as a whole. Yeah, as an ant. There we go. These are things. They're just ants. Just get rid of them. Just remove them. It doesn't matter. They're just some ants. And I mention that because it really helps emphasize how special of a case it is that Raynor is the one human, literally the one human ever, who has actually earned the respect of the Protoss people, more or less as a whole. There are Protoss who've never even met Raynor, who are like, yep, Raynor's awesome. What? We know Raynor's awesome. Don't you know Raynor's awesome? And the funny thing is they approach it with that same general casual arrogance they do everything else. As if everyone should know just how awesome Raynor is, right? I mean, because he's awesome, right? It is very Protoss. Now, let's go ahead and set up over here, because we're going to need to. And over here. I mentioned the purifiers, I mentioned the stagnant culture, I mentioned the light thing. Yeah, exactly, Krenzler. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, she is very dismissive towards the woman whose name I can't remember, the doctor lady played by Liara in Wings of Liberty. But she speaks with utmost respect to Raynor. And as was pointed out, Raynor literally burns their ships and kills their people, and her response is basically, good fight. That is so Protoss, and again, so indicative of how they perceive Raynor. They really do. I mean, that is just awesome in its own way. How automatic that respect is there, and I think it's well earned, I might add, because Hyperion. Here, I'll just pull it up. There you go, Hyperion. One other thing that's interesting about the whoa. About the... Oh, God. I'm already getting overrun. Go, my minions! One carrier is actually pretty weak, which is why I'm going to pull them back. Oh, God! Phoenix! Save us! Save us! Wah! Why are you... Attack that. Attack... Do this. Actually, that's a good question, Nero says. I don't actually know the answer off the top of my head. Jeez Louise. Where'd my... I lost my probes, didn't I? Yeah, I did. Gosh darn it. Get over there, Raynor. We can't repair the ship. But yeah, we've got that... It's, again, that groupthink thing. One Protoss respects Raynor. Phoenix, at the very least, but also Tassadar and Zeratul, and quite a few others have a great deal of respect for Raynor just on their own. And then you've got the groupthink thing where it's like, okay, well, a decent number of Protoss respect Raynor, so it just kind of spreads, basically, to the point where every Protoss who is connected to the Kala, which is basically all of them, to some extent or another, is like, yep, what, Raynor's awesome. It has actually been considered... if the Dark Templar feel the same way, since they don't have the Conclave, wow, they don't have the Kala, but I personally think that it is the exact same situation with the Dark Templar, because again, actions. There is one other unfortunate aspect of things. Hey, Takoida. This is, I hate to talk about this. If this had come out a couple years ago, I wouldn't feel nearly as hesitant about discussing this, but whatever, I'm not going to shy away from things just because of controversy. The Protoss are biased against women. Probably true, APM. The Protoss in general are biased against women. Now, I say the Protoss in general. What I actually mean is the light Protoss, the Kala Protoss, and that is a byproduct of, who else? The Conclave. The Conclave has never had a female member in its number. Not once. Ever. And that is by deliberate choice. The Protoss Society, that is to say the Kala Society, actually showcased a belief that women were less... Well, let's just leave that word there. Less than males, which is ridiculous and stupid, of course. But, I hate Reavers! God, I hate Reavers. Die in a fire. Frickin' stupid. I frickin' hate everything. Yeah, you'd be surprised, Shadow. I hate Reavers. Yeah, how would you know, Deutsch? But yeah, now I mention this because this is one of the reasons why Rashagal was so dismissed back when she was basically founding the Dark Templar. Remember, Rashagal is female, and the Conclave is a bunch of idiots. Either understandably or not understandably. Now, however you think about it, the Conclave are still idiots. I mean, that's the undeniable truth here. So, yeah, let's go sacrifice. Well, actually, let's not do that. Let's do this. And you go here. You go here. You go here. There we go. Well, not only that, Leander, it's one of the. It's actually funny you mentioned that. The Protoss have this firm belief that human females are non-trustworthy because the only one they've ever actually encountered is Kerrigan. It also explains partially why Selendis was so dismissive of Doctor. I've already forgotten her name, because you know, she's just like, And then, of course, ironically, this is also sadly reinforced by the fact that one of the male Terrans they have a fairly large amount of experience with is someone who has earned through action their respect, Raynor. So, yeah, that Dr. What's her name? I said that. And so that problem is kind of compounded within itself there. We need to start being careful. That wouldn't surprise me at all, True APM. Especially now. I wouldn't be surprised... There we go, Dr. Tassoni. I wouldn't be surprised if at one point in time there was the Kala. But that was back in the time of the, you know, of the height of the Protoss. I'm pretty sure that that's no longer true one way or the other because of everything that's happened since then. But yeah, of course, again, the Zeratul has a huge amount of respect for Raynor. And the Dark Templar in general have a huge amount of respect for Tassadar, and Tassadar had a huge amount of respect for Raynor. So you can kind of see how it just kind of drifts, that respect thing. Not that I'm trying to imply that Raynor has not deserved that respect. Raynor's awesome. Regardless of his gender, Raynor is awesome. And I think that it is understandable that someone like him would earn the respect of the Protoss. But yeah, actually we talked about that yesterday, I did. Basically boils down to the fact that it is our belief, we don't know for certain, that the Protoss units, while they might have, you know, knowledge and capacity of repairs, their technology is simply so advanced and so built with such a stagnant mindset, to put it into such terms, that they can't actually repair it on the field. They might be able to actually go home and repair it, go back to their you know, to dry dock and repair their ships, but they can't repair it in the field like the Terrans do, when the Terrans actually have this massive mobile technology that's all about adaptability and modularity and that kind of a thing, if that makes sense. We'll talk about the UED a little bit more when we get to Brood War, by the way. So save any questions about them for there. I'd rather talk about that while we're playing as them than, you know, when we're not. That would be hilarious, Leander. I guess we'll find out. That being said, I did a little research. I have apparently been using the correct term. It is the Kala is the direct term for the type of energies that are opposite to the void, the light. So, yay for accuracy. There are shield batteries, although I basically never use shield batteries, and there's a very easy reason to explain that why. Because they suck. You have to micro-shield batteries to make them work. Oh, Phoenix! Oh, that's who you're talking about. What's the deal with Phoenix? Okay. I don't fully understand your question unless you're just talking about him being a dragoon. Basically, his corpse, for lack of a better term, he wasn't dead. He was nearly dead. Was recovered, and that corpse was then smacked into a robotic shell to live out the rest of his days in horror and misery. That's kind of it. He is also, like I said, a decent guy, or such as it is, probably because of his experience. If I were to put a prediction on it, I would say the main thing that makes characters like Artanis, Tassadar, and Phoenix able to think outside the box is because of the fact that they have lived on the fringes so long. Let me explain what I mean by this a little bit more. Yeah, he is a Space Marine Dreadnought. That's pretty accurate. He got hurt because he was given stupid orders. I'm not even kidding by that. He was literally given some really, really dumb orders, which were very stupid from a tactical perspective. And he was left to defend an outpost with basically nothing, and then the Zerg were like, "Hi!" And that was the end of that. That's exactly how the Zerg popped into. They were just like, "Hi!" Exact same intonation and everything. He got a plasma cannon. He had a plasma cannon already. It just wasn't as fancy. Shoot, I was going somewhere. Words. Kelson, ask your question in a second. I'm trying to remember what the heck I was going to talk about. Protoss, respect. Right. So, the groupthink thing. Obviously, it is implied that the Kala kind of goes across everything. So, it is entirely likely that the soldiers, the people who are out in the field for an extensive period of time, who are away from ire, in other words, have less exposure to the groupthink problem. Literally have less exposure to the Conclave and the Judicators and the general atmosphere of we must all think alike. And therefore, while it is entirely possible that the Executors, the Templars, groupthink is its own thing, and they might be subject to that, they are less likely to adhere to the doctrine of the Conclave, because they're not exposed to that. Make sense? This is just a theory, by the way. I don't actually know if this is true or not, but it's my reasoning as to why, again, virtually every Protoss who has a brain is someone who has is one of the Templars, is someone who has this potential distance, for lack of a better way to put it, between them and the groupthink and the Conclave. I agree, by the way. I think Stukov would get along very well with Phoenix, absolutely. Do I have enough? Yeah, I have enough for one more. No, Shadow. Someone go smack Shadow for me really quick. Just really quick. Nothing painful. Okay, that's upgraded. That's ready to go. We need at least one of these. Well, the real answer is because they're evil, Takoida. But as to whether or not they notice, thank you, Samurai, it is entirely possible they do. Who here wants to see something terrifying? At least I think it's terrifying. Oh, I feel like I missed a question. Scroll up. That is true, APM. And I wouldn't actually be surprised if that's totally the reality of it. Yeah, absolutely, Takoida. I think that'd be great, actually. And awesome. And cool. Why did the... Oh, God, we're under attack. Why did the Dominion keep all Confederate prisoners? Because they're a resource. A resource that can be utilized. And, I mean, that sounds really callous and cruel, but that's the truth of it. They are a resource. Remember, the majority of Marines are prisoners who have been either indoctrinated or coerced, from whatever means, into becoming Marines. So, you know. What are you? Oh, damn it, man. Damn it, Baronessa. So. I am linking you a picture. That is a picture of Nova as a young girl, screaming in terror as her mind is wiped. So, yeah. I might actually link that picture again in the future when we get to, when we actually talk about Nova more later on. Yeah, let's just build 2 for right now. Yeah, so mind wipes are frickin' terrifying, if I haven't mentioned this. And I want to remind you that that's a regular policy that they employ. Pretty much every time a ghost comes back from a mission, they're like, alright, And you go, and that particular mind wipe that you're showcasing there is her, again, screaming in terror, because what are you going to do? As she is experiencing her very first mind wipe when she was a young girl. And it's a messed up thing. It's kind of messed, because it's not like how do I put this? It's not 100% mind wipe. I think is probably the best way to explain what the problem is here. It's just yes, I did, Wilson. Thank you. I don't recognize the game though. Although I should open up Steam to actually accept it. Hang on. It's just. It's kind of like what happens in Captain America 2, in all honesty. How they just kind of run enough electricity through his brain to the point where he doesn't really think the right things brain function anymore. So yes, it is entirely possible for those memories to be restored, because it's actually very likely that those memories are still there. There we go. Okay, I have accepted. Thank you, Wilson. Okay, this is great. I don't have a... Steam keeps trying to get me to get an authenticator. It's like, I don't have a mobile phone. Screw off. Actually, most ghosts totally do suspect exactly that, Dakota. It's one of the reasons there have always been so many rogue ghosts, is because they're like, you know, something's up around here, and oh my god, really, Baronessa? Really? Bad, Baronessa. Actually, what Leander says is a fairly good parallel, I think, to what they're doing and how freaking horrible it is. Yeah, I think we'll burn that on that. We could use the extra upgrade here. Or interceptors. We need to expand, like, right freaking now. Ugh. What was I talking about? Now I've been distracted by the whole ghost question and the mind wipe thing. So here's a really screwed up question for you. What do you think is worse? Do you think it's worse to have a malicious agency in charge of, you know, your life and society, and they're constantly abusing and misusing you to the point of basically torturing you in order to function alongside the way they think you should? Or do you think it's more, it's worse or better, I suppose, depending on how you think of that, to have, why do we still have a guy who doesn't have, to have a situation like the Protoss 2 where you don't even actually realize the fact that you are basically not actually being mind-controlled, you're just kind of adhering to groupthink without realizing it. Which of those fates do you think is worse, personally? Because they're both kind of horrible in their own right. We have music going, right? I can't even tell. Okay, we do. We have music. Yay. Whoops. Damn it. I can't blame him either, Chemic, but I also do think it is very indicative of their mindset, how casual they are about being Dragoons. We will also be talking about the Stalkers when we get to them, which we will not until Starcraft 2, obviously. But yeah, which would you prefer? Being an individual who is being tormented into going along with the whole, or being a whole? And this is, again, that whole collectivism versus individualism thing. Now, I gotta be honest with you guys. I am very much in favor of individualism. I make no excuses. I make no reasonings for this. It's just the way I think. It's the way I am. Shrug. You can use whatever excuses or psychoanalyst that exists in order to explain it. It really doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, I still believe in the individual will. I believe the individual matters. Now, that is not to say that there is something against the very concept of collectivism. In fact, ironically, as we mentioned the other day, both the Protoss and the Zerg have the same general thread going through them thematically. Extreme individualism versus extreme collectivism. So we've got the extreme side of things, which is the Templar who literally cut off a part of their body to sever themselves from the whole, and the extreme collectivism, which is best personified by the Conclave. Hi, Formosan. Then you've got the Zerg, the Swarm, which is extreme collectivism, and the Primals, which are extreme individualism. And we'll be talking more about that when we get to Heart of the Swarm. I do think it's interesting that that's arguably one of the biggest themes across all of StarCraft, because if you think about it, that is also still present in the Terrans. The Dominion was a big push towards collectivism. I mention this because as I've defended the Dominion in their ridiculously evil ways many times, the defense I've always used is they are doing it to get things done. The Dominion is not the Confederacy, which was being evil for the sake of evil. They were not doing it for the sake of the benefit of a few small individuals who might benefit. They were doing it for the good of the whole of the Terran species, right? Hang on just a second. So that's the collectivism. You are, as part of the Terran Dominion, are basically acknowledging and admitting that you don't actually matter. You are one individual person or one individual group, and if the Dominion decides that your life is forfeit so that we can learn a bit more about the Zerg and grow and adapt and be better prepared to defend people in the future, then your life is forfeit. Live with it. And that's kind of horrible, but it is, again, collectivism. It is that exact mentality that I just mentioned. And I feel like I lost a probe just now. It's because I did. I lost several probes. Damn it. Yeah, for the greater good. Exactly, Grote. And again, I want to stress, the Dominion does do some messed up stuff. My favorite example is actually the short story that discusses the introduction of Banelings. For those of you who have not read it, you really should read all the StarCraft 2 short stories. They're great. But this one in particular is awesome because it's all about this one colony that the Dominion established in an extremely defensible location, specifically next to a Zerg cluster that they knew was there, and then they just left them with no backup and no resources. And, oh god, incoming! And basically said, well, see what you can do. And the result was that they were able to hold off the Zerg assault for literally months until they finally pushed through their lines and actually managed to bring them down. I just made the wrong choice and I know it. Ugh. I think we might be able to salvage this without losing any carriers. Yep, okay, we're good. Interceptors are AI driven, or VI driven is actually more accurate to use the Mass Effect term. Thane's personality. How would I describe Thane's personality? Explain your question a bit better if you're still there, because that's been bugging me in the back of my mind. So again, that's the Dominion is the whole collectivism. You know, they have this base and they establish a colony and they give them great defenses and they leave them alone to see how long they could last against the Zerg and to learn more about the Zerg and blah blah blah. They were doing it to adapt and to learn and to function, and some really horrible, terrible things happened and a lot of people died. The individualism is, of course, Raynor. And arguably Kerrigan, but we'll not talk about that. Raynor really is the champion of the individual ideal, the one guy who believes that people matter. Ironically, actually, it is debatable that Horner is actually more on the side of the individual than Raynor is. But the point remains, you know, Raynor's Raiders, the good guys, are portrayed as the individuals. And individualism, which probably says something about the mindset of the people who made this game and wrote these stories. But, exactly, Grote. The UED does the exact same damn thing, and the UED is very collectivism. So, now let me make this clear. I want to make this absolutely clear. I am not calling collectivism or individualism good or bad, okay? Even though the game tends to put the good guys on the side of individualism and the bad guys on the side of collectivism, that's not the point I'm making, okay? I don't think that's the reality. What I do think, however, is that extremes of either tend to be a bad thing. Imagine what could have been accomplished if both the Dark Templar and the regular Templar had united all those years ago instead of both going to their different extremes. Let's make this clear. The Conclave was stupid in what they did to the Dark Templar. But, they were not alone in that stupidity. The Dark Templar provoked the Templar. The Dark Templar were the ones who, rather than trying to coexist or whatever, they were like, no, we're right, you're wrong, shah! And we're going to do these massive displays of defiance. And remember, they were a literal threat, not just in the way of towards the social structure of the Conclave. There were actually psionic storms that were being generated by the Dark Templar as a result of their lack of knowledge and skill with their power, given their drive towards individualism, right? I don't think Raynor is an individual 11, no, and I'll talk about why in a moment. Oh, that would be terrible, Leander. Oh, they're dead. They're dead. We can withdraw. Yeah, but yeah, exactly. They're both bad in extremes. If it wasn't for those storms and dangers, if the Dark Templar hadn't pushed so hard, and the Conclave hadn't pushed so hard, they're both to blame for this, in my opinion. We might have had a unified Protoss, which would have been awesome. Would have fundamentally changed everything. That is, I'm really hopeful what we'll be getting in Legacy of the Void. I would love it if we finally get to see the unified Protoss. The middle ground. Because, see, that's the thing Raynor does. He is actually very middle of the road. Raynor is willing to... He is a good commander. He's the kind of person who understands that when the chips are down, sometimes you have to order your friends to die. That is what being a leader is about. It is not fun. It is not for your own benefit. It is not something that you get to just sit back and sip mint juleps or whatever, while everyone else, is like, oh no, we will fight and die for you, my lord. No, a leader, really being a true leader, is about being the kind of person who can stand up there and make the hard choices, and you have to live with it. To quote Cisco, I will live with it. 3 more. Oops. There we go. We would have had purple Archons. And so Raynor is the middle ground, in other words. He understands that people matter, but he also understands that the group matters. You with me? Like I said, I am really, really hopeful that this is what we're going to see in Legacy of the Void with the Protoss, and they finally figure stuff out. Especially given what's happening with the Xel'Naga. Oh, speaking of the Xel'Naga, I was doing some research last night, rereading several of the books. I could have did, but actually, that's a really good point. If I park them, like, right about here. The Xel'Naga are even worse than I thought. That's saying something. We all know Amon has issues. Hey, Kimo. We all know Amon is a bastard, but the long-standing question, I should say, has been, are the rest of the Xel'Naga bastards? Now, we don't actually know. Let's make that clear. We don't know if the Xel'Naga are negligent precursors. We don't know if they're evil. We don't know if they're self-centered. We don't know if they're good. We don't know if they're misguided or well-intentioned. We don't know what the hell's going on with the Xel'Naga. Not really. But I did discover one thing that was mentioned in the books, which I'd forgotten about. You see, the Xel'Naga... how do I put this? The Xel'Naga are the Goa'uld, kinda. Let me explain. The Xel'Naga are a very long-lived species, but they also lack the ability to procreate at all. So the way they continue on is they will nurture a new species that has the power and capacity in terms of both magical power, technological prowess, physical capacity, age, etc. The perfect life form. And they will generate this perfect life form to be a new host species for the Xel'Naga. All of their experiments with the Protoss and the Zerg were to create a new host species so the Xel'Naga could keep going. I'm doing a specific strategy 7th, which is basically very resource light. You'll notice I haven't expanded at all. The idea here is this is the kind of strategy I can do to be very, very careful with my resource usage, and then not have to... yeah, it is kind of like the Reaper, isn't it? And not have to expend extra resources on buildings when I could just spend them directly on units. It is not the best strategy in the world, but thankfully I've been left alone enough to make it happen so far. But yeah, that's the whole thing with the Xel'Naga. They, now... honestly, that sounds pretty evil to me. I mean, that sounds, like I said, I compared them to the Goa'uld, for God's sakes. Anybody who knows anything about Stargate knows just how bad of a statement that is. But I will admit, in the interest of fairness, we don't actually know the full extent of their mentalities, of their perspectives. They could just be the kind of race that doesn't acknowledge other races as relevant, which is still bad, just not as bad as actively malicious. Because we know, for example, Amon is actively malicious. We know he actively worships death. I'll talk more about that later. Get some Thanos vibes going on there. But it is entirely possible the Xel'Naga just don't acknowledge other species as relevant, and they're like, yep, no, we'll just cultivate you over a few centuries until you're good enough, and then we'll take over. What? There's nothing wrong here. There's also ironic, because the Protoss before perceived the Terrans in the exact same manner. What? They don't matter. Remember, the whole reason they decided to go ahead and have the assault on the Terran worlds be the way it was because they did not believe Terran lives mattered enough to bother. They believed that the... heck, I don't know, Night Dawn. They believed that that the Protoss lives that would be saved by the Terran sacrifice would be worth it, because Protoss lives matter more than Terran lives. I mean, this is just obvious. I mean, any Protoss would know this. Actually, yeah, the Eldar from Warhammer 40k is a fairly similar thing to the vibe I'm getting from the Xel'Naga. But again, we don't actually know. We don't know their real mindset or mentality or anything like that. We just know that they were doing that whole kind of horrible thing. One more carrier and we're going to move. And we're going to crush everything. Or, I mean, 12 carriers should be enough to win this map, in all honesty, as long as I'm smart with them. And I used to be able to micro carriers pretty damn well. Oh, speaking of which. Yeah, I don't even need to micro that. Just kill him. You know, when I used to play this game back in the day, my computer would basically turn into a slideshow. I shouldn't even say basically. My carrier would literally turn into a slideshow every time carriers would show up. You know, I was playing Starcraft PowerPoint edition. Fortunately, well, I don't know if I'd use the word fortunately there, but we're basically out of resources in this base, so it's about time to get moving, I think. Anyone ever have the problem where you've gotten your carrier fleet going and you're outgoing it and you're losing so many interceptors because of the way you're using them? There's a way to basically convince the AI to target interceptors rather than the carriers. There we go. That you ran out of minerals because you weren't taking care of your supply chain and you weren't having resources, and you actually run out of minerals trying to rebuild them. Alright. Carrier has arrived. Just for the heck of it, because this is a lore run, we're just going to save, because I don't want to cheat on this mission. I want to have fun with this mission. Yeah, no kidding, Grodd. Although carrier spam in general just doesn't work the same in StarCraft 2, but let me make this clear. I think that's a good thing overall. Oh, I missed one. Silly me. Hey, British Twitch. What's up? Alright, now I think we can just attack move. Why don't we go ahead and get a shuttle going? Ah, carrier spam. It is truly the greatest thing. I didn't like the Ants film at all. Even Protoss wouldn't play as Protoss. I'm telling you, Aldaris was actually using proper Protoss strategies. Attack move! What about our base? Attack move! Select all, attack move, go! Whoops. Every now and again I'll do that. I'll accidentally attack move and target one of my own interceptors. We are here to free Tassadar, Aded. That's why we're kind of wiping out the Conclave's forces here. By the way, notice there's kind of a trend. The purple... hang on. Yeah, that's enough. The purple Protoss represent the Conclave, and the purple Zerg represent specifically Kerrigan Zerg. So, you know, just kind of indicative there, I think. Go! Yes, they do, Krensler. I've noticed most of the AIs never know what the hell to do with their pylons. But, of course, that doesn't even count here because this is just a pre-designed base by the developers, so the AI didn't even have a choice in the matter. What are you linking? Are you linking more things that I don't want to look at, Bernessa? Oh, okay, no, that's... yeah. Is everything permitted, Night Dawn? Protoss answer to buried stuff? Imagine a Reaver, excuse me, that actually burrows. So every now and again you'll just see one of those little bombs the Reaver shoots come out and go spam! Spam! That's what the Protoss equivalent would be. And it would be terrifying. Let's just get that out of the way. It would be bloody horrifying. Let's put you up here. So, one of the reasons I call myself a bad tactician is I tend to not think in terms of victory. I know that sounds like a weird statement, but it's true. Not only do I have the kind of the role player mindset, aka, well, this makes sense for the game, but I'm not thinking in terms of the game. I'm thinking as if I'm leading an army. And I have that problem all over the place. I've always had that problem. It's very difficult for me to think of these as units on a screen and think of it in terms of gameplay mechanics rather than, you know, an army or a fleet or whatever. Hang on just a second. God, this placement is terrible. Look at this. Do-do-do-do-do. And that one, and we're good. Because they suck, Night Dawn. Yeah, we can attack move now. The forces are under attack. Actually, 2, 3. I need gas, like, really bad. Guys, I need gas so badly. I'm gonna need some Taco Bell stat. Ah, yes. Arshinga has finally made that type of a joke. Yeah, exactly, Leander. I don't think like that. And I mentioned this. Fearsome, if he was on here, would be making fun of me because it's exactly true. I don't think of the mission in terms of a mission or a game to win. I don't think in terms of trying to work through the rules of the game or whatnot. My mind just doesn't work that way. And that's one of the reasons I call myself a bad tactician, because the whole time I'm thinking in terms of having a fleet going this way and trying to think of it in those terms as opposed to, well, I have these units, and they're going this way, and yada, yada, yada. And I'm not saying that, like, I'm not trying to be like, oh, I am superior because I'm stupid. No, I am genuinely making fun of myself here. I do think this is bad tactics. That's one of the reasons why I'm not that good at RTSs or 4Xs or anything, really. Hey, Brennian. That statement is so confusing, Brennian. You're going to have to explain that one to me, buddy. So, okay, hands up. How many of you out there, when you used to play Starcraft competitively, because I know at least some of you did, used to really photon cannon spam? Just be honest. There's no shame in it. Well, there might be a little shame in it. What you're looking at is my favorite arrangement for photon cannon spam, with a little bit of backup here and a little bit of backup here. I never use stim packs. I can't. I've talked about that many times. I can never make... Oh, gotcha, Baronian. That makes much more sense now. I can't use stim packs. I can't bring myself to do it. Sure, we'll count Starcraft 2. It is a little different in the original Starcraft. But yeah, we'll go ahead and count Starcraft 2 as well. Now, you know what I really wish we had a button for? I know, I'm complaining about a minor feature, but I think it would be awesome if there was a spread out button. Some games have this kind of a thing, and basically in a formation, where you can tell your units to go, wah! That would be very, very useful in this game especially. What I have right now, this cluster of carriers, a few well-timed and well-aimed psionic storms would wreck me right now. So, yeah. It would be nice to be able to, like, oh, go! Usually what I do if I need to spread out is this, as quickly as I can, and just try to spread out as fast as I'm able. Yes, it is, Hylas. God, there are so many ways to bypass cannons. It's a little bit silly, actually. Quick! Evasive pattern delta! We need an evasive pattern delta button. God, I really wish UPS would just show up so I could put my headphones on. I'm playing in silence. All I hear is my voice, and this is just bugging the crap out of me. The fact that I can't hear anything. Oh yeah, speaking of other things that can be kind of deleterious to the strategy. The funny thing is, the reason... okay. There is a design philosophy behind base defenses being terrible, and it basically boils down to anti-turtling. The idea that they don't want to encourage turtling, so they try to actively discourage turtling by ensuring that turtling is just not feasible. Not really. Yes, Chemic, and it's getting a little old. And so I'm just waiting here, because they knock so quietly. They come up and they go like this. Oh, okay. That's still too loud. Like that. I don't even know if you can hear that. And so I just gotta be like, come on. And they never give me a time for when they're showing up. And they might not even show up today, and they might show up tomorrow. So I'm just sitting here in total frickin' silence. Sorry, I'm just... Come on, guys. Anyways, well, yeah, that's the other thing. Some people don't realize that photon cannon spam is actually really expensive. It's 150 per photon. And you're like, oh, well, that's cheap. Yeah, but that's more expensive than a Zealot, and not quite as effective, and also static, and also really easy to lose, especially if you only have one. You can't do one photon cannon. You have to do, like, 8 at a minimum for them to really be effective. That's a good idea, Chemic. I'll go do that right now. I should inform my various roommates of that before I do so, though. Oh, yeah, go ahead, Colton. Sorry, I've actually forgotten it. Hit me. What's your question? Since I'm just being cautious and slowly sweeping the map here. How the heck did you pull that off, Baronessa? Or was it just, you know, the slow crawl, which is feasible? Yeah, no kidding, Samurai. No kidding. Oh, wow, I actually lost one. Alright. Attack move. Ah! Yeah! Sonic Storm! Didn't even see him. Did not even see him. So, like I said, Sonic Storm is bad. Like, really, really bad. Frickin' Arbiters. This is such a stupid move. Okay, as a player, there's actually a lot of uses for Stasis Prisms. But as an AI, they never take advantage of Stasis Prism, like, ever. So it's freaking useless for them to use, and it always irritates me when they do, because it's like, you're just wasting my time. You're not accomplishing anything. Is this... Yeah, this is depleted. Hey, you. Stop. Come on. Oh, jeez. Jeez. They came out, but I just lost my carrier fleet. Wow. I actually just lost my carrier fleet to that. That's totally my fault. that's fully on me. I completely spaced the Templars. That just wrecked my fleet. Whatever. Arbiters. So, how would I describe Thane's personality? Thane is pragmatic to a fault. He really does not seem to... he feels like the kind of person who has reached the point in his life where he still is trying to adhere to the ideal of lack of ethics, and yet at the same time has a very strong ethical center himself. Whoops. Which is funny, and is one of the reasons why he is so conflicted. I also believe it's one of the reasons he went ahead and agreed to do the suicide mission, a way to atone, so to speak, because he genuinely does not like killing. Yeah, that's right, an assassin who doesn't like killing. How's that for a fun little thing? So I think that's how I describe Thane in a nutshell. An interesting dichotomy. Yes, Protoss in StarCraft 1, Terran in StarCraft 2, Benoth, in terms of pure gameplay. So, Reaver lore. Right. While I'm waiting for my resources to build back up. Because I'm not cheating, damn it. I've got this mission. I just completely screwed up. I made one mistake. Yeah, exactly, Kylus. That's exactly my point. The words. Is that true in SC2? I almost never see Protoss use arbiters or prisms or whatever in SC2, actually. That's true. Although Thane was pretty good at his job. He was a consummate professional. Reavers. Hey, Nightforger. Reavers are the VI. Now, I use this term. StarCraft doesn't. This is obviously well before Mass Effect's time. For those of you who don't understand the full difference between the two, I'll just describe it in brief. In Mass Effect, there's AI, which is true artificial intelligence. You know, a sentient, sapient life form that just happens to be programmed in machine. Then there's VI, which is not that at all. A VI is an artificial intelligence that has some problem-solving capacity, some ability to think on the fly, but otherwise is basically not autonomous, not independent, not sentient, not sapient, etc. It's incapable of true independent thought, if you follow. Really? The enemy, of course, also doesn't know how to use carriers properly, as you can see here. Nope. Sorry, Zealot. I might someday, Wilson. I've got a billion other things on my plate right now, so it's not really on the agenda, so to speak. No, yeah, that line should hold. They're not hitting me particularly hard. As I say, I'll lose a couple cannons. That's the other thing about cannons. They are, ironically, glass cannon-y. So they have pretty low health, and that means you also have to replace them fairly frequently, which is the other reason they're not very cost-effective. They're great against the AI, because the AI doesn't know how to deal with cannons unless they mass. But anyways. So the AI, the VI that the Protoss employ, which may or may not be because of that earlier comment about the purifiers I made, that's speculation. But we do know for a fact that the Protoss employ VI, not AI, when it comes to their inventions. But regardless of why they do it, the Reavers are basically big old mobile factories, for all intents and purposes. And their only purpose is to move into a particular location and have the launch tube ready to go. This is also kind of indicative of Protoss philosophy. If you remember, this is kind of how carriers work, too. Since carriers are effectively just big old... probably not Bernissa. Big old factories that fly through the sky and unleash their payload on the enemy. Same basic mentality. The difference is a carrier has a crew, we don't know how much. We do know the carriers are huge. In fact, there's a picture, which we'll be seeing very shortly, that really helps highlight just how colossally gigantic carriers really are. They are basically city-sized, in the same way that the Hyperion is. But we don't know how much crew is on board. In the case of a Reaver, there is no crew on board. There's just the automated factory, which is directed to go into a given location based on its prerogative. And that's it. That's all they've got. The other reason this makes sense for the Protoss to use automated units like this, 1, 2, 3, is because the Protoss, as I mentioned before, there's a term for that and I can't think of it. They have a bad turnaround rate on population. Their population has basically been in slow descent ever since the eon of strife, and so they aren't really producing new Protoss as fast as they're getting rid of them. I mean, that sounds rather callous, but it's just the truth of it. That is the problem. They are having trouble maintaining their population. And so it is logical, in many ways, for the Protoss to utilize automated units in order to supplement their forces because they don't have that many actual troops on the ground. Now, that being said, that's the logical side of things, which, duh, right? There is also a Protossian side of things, for lack of a better phrase to attach to this. And that is Protoss lives matter, other lives don't. I only say this because I could see it that the Protoss could have actually utilized demographic decline. I think that is the term I was thinking of. Thank you. I could see it if the Protoss had actually believed in slavery, which they don't, thank God. They would have no problem using other races in the same way they use the automated races. They could simply... Because, again, Protoss lives are the ones that matter. Other lives don't. Now, that being said, one of the things I also find that would be equally horrifying, which thankfully does not appear to be true for all intents and purposes, is, wouldn't it be really messed up if these weren't VI but AI? Now, we know they're VI. That's been confirmed. But imagine if the probes and the reavers and the interceptors and all that were actually AI. They were basically droids. Individual intelligences that are being tossed off to their deaths because their lives don't matter as much as Protoss lives. That would make them a little more horrifying, don't you think? No, we've actually talked about this. The reason the Protoss are descending is because they simply don't have a reproductive drive in the sense that, well, humans do. Fun little factoid. Wouldn't it be interesting to introduce Asari to the Protoss people? I don't mean like for sexy reasons. I mean genuinely think about what that would do for their two cultures. Huh. It is absolutely hypocritical, Chemic. I agree. Because, again, this is why we've got that collectivism versus individualism thing going on. I'm telling you, that theme is everywhere in the Starcraft series. The Protoss lives are the only lives that matter, and yet an individual Protoss's life does not matter. So each individual Protoss's life must be sacrificed, must be willing to be laid down at a moment's notice, without hesitation, without doubt, because for the will of the Conclave, for the will of Ire, and all that fun stuff. We'll be talking about the Ire thing in a moment. I'll do the math in my calculator right here, because I don't feel like doing this out loud. Okay, we're just going to be chilling for a moment. Actually, we could get started. We'll go ahead and get started on that. Debatable, Hylisk. Debatable. Is which due to the Kala, Webwriter? Do you mean the lack of reproductive drive? We don't actually know why they lack a reproductive drive. It is entirely possible, though, based on the fact that they were fine until the Xel'Naga showed up, that it's because of the Xel'Naga's tampering. Remember, the Xel'Naga as a species cannot actually procreate. Again, the Goa'uld thing. So it is entirely possible that the Xel'Naga were engineering the Protoss to the point where they lacked the ability to reproduce, because something about that is significant to the way the Xel'Naga exist, and they needed that within their host species. It is worth noting, by the way, the hybrids cannot reproduce. Just pointing that out with regards to the whole Xel'Naga host body thing. 2, 4, 6, 8, so I need... there we go. Boom. Okay. New fleet coming. What the hell, Leander? Exo Squad. But yes, exactly. The hybrids are even more like tools, like the mule, or like mules in general. They a hybrid also cannot have their essence collected. That is true. Again, more fuel to the fire that the hybrids is the ideal of what the Xel'Naga wanted. Whether or not the Xel'Naga are still around, we don't know. I want to stress that we don't actually know if the Xel'Naga are still around. We don't. I'm hoping we find that out. In fact, I gotta be honest, if they don't do the bad thing, in other words, if they don't do and by the way, to be concluded in the next chapter, if they actually do end the Amon arc in Legacy of the Void, I think they will introduce the Xel'Naga arc in Legacy of the Void. I think that would be a good way to keep the story going, as overall, since the Xel'Naga story hasn't been finished yet, while still concluding the existing story. I'm not sure it would change much to Koida, other than changing a few of the early game tactics. What the heck, Hunter Black? Okay, so, Arbiters. I gotta look one thing up about Arbiters, because if I'm not mistaken, there's an aspect of them that's fascinating. Give me just a moment. Yada, 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 yada. Yada, 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 yada. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. So I mentioned how, okay, how many of you out there like Fallout? Does anyone out there like Fallout? Fallout 4? But seriously, real question. Does anyone out there like Fallout? Because I'm going in a direction with this. I still haven't seen the new trailer. Welcome back, Brigwin. Join me in liking Fallout and a few other things. Ooh, that's a good point, True IPM. It would. I mention it because one of the things I've had to talk about before is how some people don't understand how different Fallout is. I think I described this to Shadow, for example. No offense to Shadow. Because some people don't understand that Fallout literally follows a different technological progression path than we did in real life. They never discovered the integrated circuit, is how I like to describe that. I mean, there's a few other differences, but they continued to advance technologically, but they did so down a completely different path. Some people tend to forget that technology is not a linear path. We as humans have followed a path, technologically speaking, especially in the last 2 centuries, but that is not the only path possible to follow. I mention this because Arbiters are a good example of the Protoss technological path, aka their technology is pretty much universally based around warp. Their ability to warp, their ability to teleport, their ability to control that warp has been a fundamental aspect of virtually every type of technology they have. The fact that they can, the way they produce buildings, the way they summon units, the way they travel, the way they attack, a lot of their weapon technology is even based on basically... I agree, Hunter Black. I think it's fascinating, but you guys know me. I'm a setting kind of a guy. I'm the guy who's talked for like an hour and a half about the economics of New Vegas, for God's sakes. Anyways, so that warp technology is pretty much the core aspect of Protoss advancement, and sense make, right? Because you use what you have learned and you follow that path. In fact, this is actually a plot point in Mass Effect, where so many of the races in Mass Effect follow the same technological path, because of the introduction of the gateways and the Reapers and the way that they did that, right? Yeah, pretty much it did. Do me a favor and don't tell me, Leander. I want to walk in as blind as possible, just personally. That's my desire. So this is relevant to the Arbiters, because the Arbiters are are fully an extension of that. Arbiters by themselves are literally judicator vessels. There are no Templars. There are no soldiers or otherwise people on an Arbiter vessel. It is completely consistent of judicators. To clarify this just a moment, for those of you not aware, the Judicator caste, it really is completely segregate from the Templar caste, which is completely segregate from the Kali caste. Kali? Yeah. We're going to need a lot more than that, so we're going to go ahead. I don't know, guys, do you think I should be safe? I think we'll be safe. There we go. So the Judicators are the leaders. They're the ones who are in charge of things. They're the people on top of the heap, and the Conclave are the leaders of the Judicator caste. Hey, Theodorkos. So imagine a ship that is consistent entirely of bureaucrats, and that's basically the Arbiter in a nutshell. Because all of the Arbiter's abilities are indicative of that exact same thing. AKA, the Arbiter has bad shields, bad armor, and bad weapons. It can't fight worth a damn. I've actually tried in the past to make Arbiter fleets a thing. It doesn't work. Arbiter is there purely as support. You remember how I was talking about how cool it would be if they added like command variables or some kind of friendly buff aura or whatever for having aerial support, and that's the purpose a battlecruiser could serve on the Terran side? The Arbiters are as close to that as we get in the original StarCraft. The Arbiters have the stasis thing, which basically, for all intents and purposes, pulls a certain group of people out of sync with the rest of the reality for a little bit of time by applying the warp to them. They also have... We're live, okay. /W, Leander. Although someone else will probably say that before you hear me say it. There we go. They also have the ability to basically automatically project a field around them, which basically warps space-time just a little bit around them, so that everyone within their proximity is effectively cloaked. It's actually funny because it's the only cloaking device the Protoss use other than their observers. And it's also funny because the cloak that the Protoss use is fully based on the warp. And from what we understand, although this is conjecture, the Terran cloak is actually based on Protoss technology because, again, the Confederacy had a bit of a jump start because of the Protoss ruins that they had within the Caprula sector, but I digress. So every unit around an Arbiter is cloaked, basically. The Arbiter itself cannot be cloaked because it has to maintain that field with normal space-time. But I like the idea that rather than just bending light around the enemy or whatever, or excuse me, around the same ship, they literally pull every single ship around them, every unit around them, out of sync with the rest of reality, just enough in order to allow them to not be detectable, but still be able to attack and otherwise interact with reality normally. I find that amusing, personally. Now, come on. Let's start getting our interceptors going. Let's just speed this up a little bit. Nah, I don't want to cheat at all. I want to do at least one mission. Actually, this is not the mission I want to do without cheating. That's the next one. So let's just speed this up. Yeah, exactly, Dakota. Which I think would be really cool. But what the heck do I know? Yeah, exactly. The mothership warp kind of a thing. Of course, the mothership itself is also based on the warp technology of Protoss progression as a whole. Alright, so we could just attack move here, which I think we're going to do. Attack move! Ba-ba-da-ba, ba-ba-da. Wait, that's the wrong thing. Bum-ba-da-ba, bum-ba-da-ba, bum, bum-ba-da-ba, bum-ba-da-ba. Hey, Zerhunter. Did they change the food requirement of Protoss carriers a bit? Because I swore you used to have to really do a bunch of things in order to actually have 24 carriers going. Like, seriously, I feel like that used to be something I used to have to make things work out. And I'm not, obviously, because... frickin'... God damn it. Okay, I am suffering from my hubris, as I should. Alright, let's start paying attention here. I don't want to lose a second carrier fleet. There we go. Move! 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 God damn Templar. Nobody loves you. That would be funny, Leander. Funnily enough, some people have asked why Starcraft never uses... Or Starcraft, well, Star Trek never uses that idea. Because if you think about it, the transporters on Star Trek are actually a great weapon. They're just not used like one. Alright, we're gonna have to... Oh my gosh. Ah! Okay, you're the new one group. Go! Flight of the Bumblebee. Yeah, no kidding. Correct. In-game, the carrier 100% relies on the interceptors. I mentioned that in-game qualifier because it's not actually true in lore. The carriers actually have other weapons in lore, as we see both in cinematics and in some of the books and whatnot. Okay, get up there. Ugh. Hey, Valkyrie is prepared. God damn it, you're about to do what I think you're about to do. Arbiters, here to annoy you. Nothing else. That wouldn't surprise me either, Webwriter. Voyager actually did a transporter bomb once, which worked surprisingly well. In fact, they even comment in lore how weird it is that it worked. By the way, one of the reasons I love the Protoss carrier isn't just because of the fact that it's awesome, although that is part of it. It's also because of the fact that I just like the look of the Protoss carrier. It's one of my favorite looking ships in Starcraft, although they really, really look cool in Starcraft too. But yeah, the only ship I like better than them is the Hyperion itself in the original Starcraft. Damn it. Okay, look. Yeah, you got that. It's not sporting. What does football have to do with anything? Hey, look, it's a Reaver. Bye, Reaver. Bye. Nobody loves you. Bye. God, their defenses are terrible. Okay. I'm just going to chill for a moment. I admittedly haven't looked too much at the Spear of Adun yet. I will, of course, in about a week. Less than a week at this point. What we have? Oh, there he is. Yay! We have found Tassadar. We must free him. Attack move! It's the only way. Actually, let's not do that. Ah! Aha! Damn it, Aldaris. Really? Yeah.
Stay thy hand, adjudicator. The stewards of Tassadar shall not fall while the Dark Templar live. Call off your guards and stand
Yes, I have,
aside,
Zechariah.
and you may yet live to see another moonrise.
I will not be addressed so by one so devoid of the Kala's light. You and your vile brethren shall die with these traitors.
Are you truly so blinded by your vaunted religion that you cannot see the fall ahead of you? Your Conclave believes that they are winning this war, but all they have succeeded in doing is helping the Overmind to win.
What could you possibly know about our designs, blasphemer?
Notice Aldaris is willing to
Speak
question
of
that.
knowledge, Judicator.
Just pointing it out.
You speak of experience. I have journeyed through the darkness between the most distant stars.
The Void.
I have beheld the births of negative suns and borne witness to the entropy of entire realities.
That's an exaggeration, by the way.
My experience, Aldaris, all that you have built here on Iora is but a fleeting dream. A dream from which your precious Conclave shall awaken, finding themselves drowned in a greater nightmare.
We shall see.
I do point out that Aldaris is not only willing to listen there and willing to question, but decides to go ahead and not continue the fight. again, just point. It's a very tiny, subtle hint of the fact that Alderis is at least not the main problem, not the source of the problem here. He's just the mouthpiece for it. But yeah, it has since been confirmed, because people used to theorycraft all over the place about Zeratol's true nature based on that one line, and it has since been confirmed that he was basically being poetic. He was not actually speaking literally. He has traveled into the void, though. There, look at how big that ship is. Look at that! Sorry.
Taro Adun, Executor.
Tassadar!
My gratitude to you for having secured my release knows no bounds. By all the gods, we may win yet. The time has come to let loose the fury of the Dark Templar. Zeratul, perhaps the time has come to tell our friends of the foe we face.
Indeed. When I slew the Cerebral on Char, I touched briefly with the essence of the Overmind. In that instant, my mind was filled with its thoughts. And I tell you now, our worst fears have come true. The Zerg were indeed created by the ancient Zelnaga, the same beings that empowered us in our infancy. But the Overmind grew beyond their constraints, and has at last come to finish the experiments they began so long ago.
So you see, my friends, we fight not only to save Ire, but all creation. If we fall to the Zerg, then the Overmind will run rampant throughout the stars, consuming all sentience, all life. It is up to us to put an end to this madness, once and for all.
Our forces shall engage the primary Zerg
Five cluster.
clusters in an attempt to weaken their defenses. Once their numbers have thinned out, Zeratul and his companions can infiltrate the clusters and assassinate the Cerebrits. Adun willing, the Cerebrits' deaths will distract the Overmind long enough for us to assault it directly.
Honestly, Tassadar's surrender and immediate rescue just kind of makes me roll my eyes a little bit. So what is the Void? We'll talk about that a little bit more in detail later, but it's best to think of it this way. Basically, everything in the universe has primarily kala energies, light energies, and that's the way this reality works. The Void is basically an alternate dimension, alongside / attached to this one, which has void energies in it. Now, the void and void energies are two kind of slightly separate things. But this, to go forward, we're going to go ahead and cheat on this mission. This is the mission in which we kill ourselves. I'm just going to go and do that.
Your orders, Templar. Your orders, Templar.
Alright, onwards! Taro Adun. Note Zeratul's the one saying that, by the way. I only point that out because even the Dark Templar revere and honor Adun. I gotta be honest, I think the whole capture rescue thing is mostly a plot hole, if I'm just being blunt. No, we're not cheating on the next mission. I don't want to cheat on the next mission. It's gonna be a lot of fun, too. But this mission's actually pretty brutal. Yeah, this mission is... Whew. So... Whoop, this way. This is the mission where we kill ourselves, like I said. We're going to be killing the Cerebrit. You know, the one we played as. That is actually our goal here, is to kill that Cerebrit, our Cerebrit, from the Zerg campaign. So... For one of the only times in history, we'll be killing another player character. Yay! Except it's not another player character, it's just us. It'd be like if in Fallout 3 you could go and kill... Or no, that's a bad example. Like in Fallout New Vegas, you could kill the Lone Wanderer. Or the Vault 101 guy. I can't remember what his actual term is. Onwards. So, I have to admit, as much as these next couple missions are pretty damned hard, and I mean just really damned hard, they're a lot of fun. And I really, really like the next mission, which is the mission where we're going after the Overmind. Like I said, true APM, there are ways to explain it, but I think this is one of those cases where this is just a plot hole. The orange cloud is... Oh, I hate the orange cloud. Okay, so Defilers can shoot this orange cloud, right? Well, in the orange cloud, attacks don't work. Basically, you just gain... Think of it as like 100% miss chance is what you gain while you're in the orange cloud. And so, a few strategic placements of orange cloud basically completely nullify your unit's effectiveness. And I frickin' hate the orange cloud. See, that dragoon, he's not doing any damage because he's effectively blind. That's true, Zachariah. And just think, in Diablo 3.3 or whatever, we'll be killing the Nephilim. Somehow. Ah, there he is. Go, Zeratul. Zeratul does a stupid amount of damage, by the way. I think he hits harder than most units in the entire game. He has 100 damage to his strike. And down. Come on, your Cerebrite's dead. Why are you still attacking me? Ah, whatever, I don't care. Moving on. Anyways, like I said, there are ways to explain the plot hole. Now, as was pointed out, Tassadar acted what I like to call in the moment. Actually, there is kind of a lore reason for that, Pave. It's because the original color, which was purple, if you remember, was the color of Kerrigan's units, and we were the Brood taking care of Kerrigan. And once Kerrigan was taken care of, as a result of the actions I've already talked about, we moved here and effectively took control of a new Brood, hence having a new color. That's the reasoning. My explanation for the plot hole here is actually pretty simple. I've talked before about the idea of in the moment, aka when you're in the moment, you're not thinking logically. You're not thinking about what you're going to do or how you're going to do it or considering long-term consequences. For you, all you're thinking about is right now. And as I've said before, and I know I'm not alone in this, we as human beings tend to be very, very stupid in the moment. Right? I mean, we tend to be just dumb in the moment. And that's when most people make their greatest mistakes. I mention this because, again, remember how Tassadar was. He had come back to save Ire, and then he had to murder Protoss. Remember that this is a Protoss, Tassadar, who is fighting Protoss who have the Kala still. Remember, the whole reason the Eon of Strife stopped was because the Protoss suddenly could feel each other's thoughts and essences and whatnot, and couldn't stand to kill each other anymore. So it's very logical that Tassadar, who's a generally good person anyways, would suddenly be like, just no, I can't, and is willing to surrender just to end it, just to be done with it. And then, of course, once he is rescued, it makes sense that he would be grateful for his rescue because he still wants to save the planet. He has had time to think. He has had time in his cell to consider and to function and be like, okay, I probably shouldn't have surrendered. That was probably a mistake. I need to go and help kill the Cerebrites. I need to go and help kill the Overmind. We need to save our people and our planet. And so that's my explanation for why the sudden, I surrender, thank God for freeing me thing. I do think that makes sense, but like I said, it is probably just a plot hole. Final mission of Starcraft, the original. Are you ready? 'Cause I'm not. This is gonna be rough. I'm gonna not cheat on this one. And whew. That is actually true, Kamek. Unless you're a ghoul, of course. In which case, screw them ghouls, am I right? And unless you're a Brotherhood of Steel, of course, because screw them normal people. This is it, guys.
Executor, our plan worked perfectly. The Zerg defenses are broken, and the way to the Overmind is laid bare. The time for our stand has come.
Indeed. My friends, this is our final hour. Not all of us may survive the coming conflict. Yet, death may be a blessing should we fail here. We seek now to destroy a foe that has ravaged its way across the universe, consuming all in its path. And now, it has reached the end of its long journey. The Overmind has come to destroy all that we hold dear, and assimilate us into itself. And I say to thee, this shall not come to pass. Ire shall not fall. Executor, I stand ready.
As do I.
Well, I guess all I have left is to see this through. The Zerg have taken everything from me. My home, my family, my friends. I know that nothing I do can bring those things back. But I'll be damned if I just sit on my hands and wait for the end. I want a piece of them, all right. I'm in.
Then let our actions speak for us. For Adun. For Ire.
This is an awesome mission, and also pretty much the first of its type. Warcraft 3 would later play with this style of mission, and so would Starcraft 2. But this is an awesome mission. Oh.
Tassadar, this comes too late to you, but the Conclave has witnessed your defeat of the Cerebrate. They know now that they cannot deny the necessity or the valiancy of your actions. We sought to punish you, while it was we who were in error. You represent what is greatest in us all, and all our hopes go with you. Entaro Adun, brave sons of Ire.
Wow. Does that mean they're gonna send some backup for us?
Nope! No backup! Yeah, he's actually had the Hyperion since he escaped from Minsk. So, okay. This is a fun mission. Like I said, this is basically the first of its kind. AKA, you guys have control over 2 units, 2 different species even. And you have to manage them both basically simultaneously. Notice we have 2 population caps there, too. The Protoss population cap and the Terran population cap. Now, I'm going to be primarily using the Terrans for the purposes of resources and primarily focusing on Protoss units. Yes, I do think it would be possible, Dog Andes, absolutely. Now, see, that's what I was going to point out, Nerazes. Given the timeline and everything that happens at this point in time, it is actually sadly possible that that is not the Conclave. That is actually Alderus speaking for the Judicators, rather than the Conclave speaking for, well, you know, the Protoss as a whole right there. Because, remember, right about at this point in time, the Conclave are either dead or dying. We don't know the exact point at which the Conclave was killed. It could be now, it could be right before now, it could also be right after now. We're not sure. That being said, my headcanon, that's Alderus speaking for himself. That's Alderus regardless of whether or not the Conclave is still alive, saying, you know what, y'all are idiots. And Alderus sees the results, and Alderus sees the consequences and says, yep, you know what, I was wrong. And he admits that he was wrong, rather than, again, being the mouthpiece for the Conclave admitting they were wrong. And I personally think that that's much more awesome than the alternative. Oh, absolutely, Tracker. Like I said, I do think it's a plot hole, as much as I hate to admit this. By the way, fun fact, the Terrans start off with more resources than the Protoss do. It's a nice little touch there. Let's get some interceptors going. I usually actually do for Marines, because I feel like that's the most middle-of-the-road approach to the bunker thing. That being said, I know a lot of people prefer the 3 Marines, 1 Firebat thing, and I do that on occasion myself, too. It tends to depend on my mood. Against the Zerg, though, yeah, I need a Firebat on those, especially for this mission. This mission's actually pretty damn brutal. There's an entirely feasible chance I will lose this mission. And I need to keep expanding like frickin' wildfire in order to keep this up. Now we're going to just utilize the Terran population cap for defense. Or population cap, excuse me, for defense. Ah! 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 Gah! One Zergling! One Zergling! Ah! He's already killed 2 SCVs. Frickin' Zergling. One Zergling. Ah! Anyways, hi. Oh no, we're absolutely going to be playing the secret mission. But those hybrids were not completed, remember. And in fact, we end up killing them, if you'll recall. There was only one hybrid that had actually been successfully combined, because, well, because it is very difficult for the essence of Zerg and the essence of Protoss to be combined, and they're using different energies to power them. So, from both perspectives, it's very difficult to combine Zerg and Protoss. From a biological perspective and from a basic, or from a more metaphysical, you know, whatever you want to call that perspective. Ow. Which I think is actually kind of neat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I need... God, I need so many SCVs. Let's go ahead and get another bunker going, like, right here. Excuse me. There we go. But yes, we will absolutely doing that mission. Hey, Ripley would turn SCVs into a badass unit. That's all I'm saying. Put him like over here, actually. Right about there. Yeah, I'm thinking about having an essence counter because they do spam that word a lot. One thing I do not like that WoW, or excuse me, Blizzard in general tends to do, is they'll come up with a new term, and then they'll just overuse the hell out of it, like everyone should automatically know what it means. You know, rather than introduce it gradually or whatever, they're just like, oh, suddenly there's this thing called Essence. And it is basically retconned in. Now, that being said, Essence does actually make sense in the way they describe it, but I still would have been nicer if they hadn't just, you know, like I said, retconned it in. Okay, we have some units. Oh, crap. We have too many units. You go there. You... Alright, let's get the first cluster going there. The Hive Cluster. Really wish auto repair was a thing, because then I could just set an SCV on patrol on the defensive line and just kind of walk away from it. But whatever. Academy. I need an academy over here. I don't know. That would be cool, Theodoricus. If you remember, though, the last mission of Heart of the Swarm did not have us controlling the Terrans and the Zerg at the same time, even though both were on the field. It just had us working alongside them and supporting them. That was still cool, but not as cool as if we'd actually been in charge of both sides simultaneously. Retcon means retroactive continuity. Let me explain what I mean by this. Let's say you, as a writer, have come up with a story arc. Yay! And you're like, wait a minute, I've made a mistake, or I've changed my mind, or I'm actually a new writer and the old writer has since quit and I don't know his words. So in order to keep the story going, I need to go ahead and retcon the previous story arc. In other words, I need to take what was previously established as canon and rewrite it. That is what retconning means. I hope that makes slightly more sense. Retconning is sadly a rather common fixture of... Oh god, we're dead! Fortunately, I made those interceptors earlier. We're not actually dead. We got this. I panicked for a moment there, because I forgot we had a carrier. Anyways, so that's a retcon. Now, like I said, retcons are generally bad. In general, if you have to retcon something, something has gone wrong. But that being said, retcons are not always an aspect of bad writing. Sometimes it's inevitable, sometimes it's unavoidable. Sometimes you just cannot avoid a retcon because of the fact of blah, blah, blah. Like I said, one of the things I mentioned earlier, I guess I'm answering your question now, Night Forger. One of the things I mentioned earlier is sometimes the old writers don't exist anymore. They've either died or they've abandoned the story arc or whatever. And you literally just can't write whatever story arc they had going, and because you don't know where they're going with it, you have to come up with your own stuff. So sometimes you go in and you retcon things. And like I said, there is nothing fundamentally wrong with retconning. Not really. Thermal clips is a good example of something that is effectively a retcon. Now, the essence thing, as was just asked by Godawful Shelf, is, for all intents and purposes, a retcon. I don't think it's actually a bad retcon, personally. That's always going to come down to individual preference, by the way, as to whether or not a retcon is good or bad. I personally think the Essence thing doesn't bother me, specifically because the fact that Essence actually makes sense with the vaguely science and yet at the same time vaguely metaphysical nature of StarCraft as a whole. Because that's exactly what Essence is. It is not just their DNA, it is the fundamental way in which the species function. It's like their energy, in addition to their DNA, kind of combined into one force. And I like that idea. So I'm okay with it. But that's just because I'm okay with that. Now, again, sometimes the retcon can make things better. Whether that's true or not is debatable. I will say this. I actually like one retcon that happens in StarCraft 2 specifically. They retconned the way the Battle of Tarsonis went. In other words, rather than having it primarily fought on the... 1, 2, 3... On the space platform, they have it pretty much fought on the ground, actually, on Tarsonis, which just makes more sense for me and also makes for a much more interesting scene, I believe. Just getting defenses going right now, because that's priority number 1 on this mission. Because they'll be hitting me pretty frequently. And then I will get some resources going, and then I'll start pushing back. I hope you guys are ready for some carrier spam, because that's what we're doing. In all honesty, if I could properly micro, I would be a death machine on this map. Anyone would, who can properly micro. Yeah, exactly, Krenzer. That is an awesome cutscene, which we get because of that retcon. Yeah, like I said, they're going to be hammering us pretty much non-stop, so having some defensives going is kind of relevant. Oh, shush, Samurai. You know you do it too. You know you do it too, for that matter. Give in to the carrier side of the Force. Okay, we'll put it right here. I'm not sure yet, Stars of the Ocean. When I stream it, I will most likely let you guys decide, because that's the kind of streamer I am. Viewer interaction, damn it. At all costs. You want a big retcon? Sometimes retcons aren't literally retcons. Sometimes writers just say, you know what, I just want to rewrite part of the history of this character. Spider-Man! Oh, excuse me. I had something stuck in my heart. God, why did they do that? I'm sorry. I know. One of these days I'll let go of the Spider-Man retcon. But not today. They really screwed that up. Is it god-awful? Well, if that's true, that would qualify as a non-retcon. It would still be kind of a retcon, because there is such a thing as a partial retcon. In other words, taking something that already existed and expanding on it. That's not really the same thing, though, and I'm generally much more tolerant of that kind of a thing than a flat-out flinging stuff out the window. Yeah, I'm talking about One More Day. I will never forgive One More Day. It was a bad idea to begin with. Virtually everyone involved knew it was a bad idea. Did it anyways. Whatever. Moving on. Okay, we still got music going. Marriage. Marriage is what brings people to not read comic books, apparently. Freaking stupid. Anyways. I think the age and the sex appeal was the main complaint, Shadow. And I just kind of sigh before I say that, because it's kind of an inevitable reality of the way that people who make comic books view people who read comic books. AKA, if there's no sex, then nobody's going to read it. Sex being a part of comic books has been a thing for many, many, many years, though, and we just... somewhere along the line, you just kind of get used to it, and it's like, okay, whatever. At this point in time, it's hard to even care. Okay, we got that, we got that. We don't need that. Do we? I don't think we do. Good retcons outside of Starcraft. I personally think that the retconning of the Horde in Warcraft 3 was a good move. In other words, for those of you not aware, while the demons were always an aspect of the Horde, in the original Warcraft 1 and Warcraft 2 story arc, you need to be group 3. Oh, Jesus Christ on a stick! Oh, I hate Guardians! I say I love Guardians, I use them all the damn time, but was not ready for Guardians so soon. We're gonna have to be prepared for that. Yeah, so Guardians. Guardians can outrange every defense. That's pretty much their purpose. They are literally aerial siege units. And that's all they're good at, is being aerial siege units. And they suck. Actually, I use them all the time, like I mentioned. What was I saying? Warcraft. The original Warcraft, the demons, the horrible, terrible demons, were literally just... the demonic horde, and they were just this horrible force of bad terribleness. There was no complexity to the orcs. There was no significance to the horde. They were just the bad guys, generic and universal, and they were designed to be the bad guys. While they had some personalities to them, there was nothing else there, right? It was just, we're the horde, we're the bad guys, moving on. Warcraft 3 came along and said, hey, whoa, check it out. We kind of are not horde. We were, demonic possession and corruption and blah, 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 blah. So, again, I feel that was a good example of a good retcon that was done. You asshole! So in case you missed what just happened, a queen just came up and used the parasite ability on my SCV. Oh, and a defiler just hit me with plague. Oh. See, this is the problem with this mission in a nutshell. It's actually very, very hard to maintain the Terran's camp, because Zerg are actually really good at anti-Terran. Really good at it. So plague, for those of you not aware, will never kill you, but it will always reduce your health basically to 1. Terran units, buildings, if you'll remember, start burning and losing health on their own when they're in the red. So, yeah. Oh my freakity god. You know what? We're gonna... okay, we're gonna switch up our strategy. I need another SCV. How are you doing down here? You still holding? Oh my god, they're already attacking me again. Yeah, they're just hammering the Rainer up here. Jeez Louise. Okay, go repair that. You get up there. Would you stop that? This is another reason, actually, I had my units a little more spread out for this mission. Because they're jerks. We're going to get a infantry line going, and then we're going to get an actual mobile line going. But we need the infantry line as the backup. Which is kind of sad when you think about it, that's all that is backup. A modern-ish Blizzard story not involving any of corruption. Garrosh Hellscream. Which is one of the reasons I actually like his story arc, even though I can't stand the character. Oh no, trust me, there's worse than One More Day in comics. Whew. Much worse. I also really don't want Rainer to get hit by that Defile spam. That would be bad. Let's get... Basically, yes, Dog Andes. For all intents and purposes. You asshat! You... Oh my god, I'm not even... let's go focus. How's our resources? We have enough. 6, 9, 10, 11, 12. There, we have enough for our first fleet. Where's my... duh! Save the bunkers! Save the bunkers! The turrets are more... losable. Come on. Okay. No, he does not zero. He is just Garrosh, pretty much all the way across the room. It's actually funny, because Garrosh really is one of the only exceptions I could come up with. Yeah, I know, Hunter. I am aware. They are a dick. But the good news is, I should be ready with anti-dick policies soon. Okay. Yep. There we go. Get in the bunker! Go! Get ready to repair. Repair! Repair mode engaged! Oh god, it wasn't enough! It wasn't enough! Ah! Holy crap. Oh, right. That's a thing too. God damn it. No, it's been confirmed, Zero. He was never actually corrupted. Garrosh is like the exception. Quickly now. We need that resource. No! Yeah, the Zerg are like, you know what? We really don't like Raynor. Die! Die, scum. They're just hammering the northern camp. Okay. Okay. You know what? Let's just really get going with this, shall we? This is getting silly. Meanwhile, the Protoss are just like, yup. What? I do admit I get tired of the corruption storyline. I will not even try to deny that. It's one of the reasons why I was hopeful at certain points in WoW's story that you know, insert storyline here would not be a corruption story arc. Like, really? Come on, guys. You've been doing this for a while now. And that's really, it's just the oversaturation problem. That's all it really boils down to. Are you kidding me? Are you... Really, dude? Really? This is your plan? Where's my... There it is. Get me this into this. Yeah, as I say, the AI knows that they can just go after Raynor and win. And then it's all over. Basically, a corruption story arc is... Oh my god! Is the Defilers. The Defilers are the corruption story arc. Oh, you asshat. You wear an ass for a hat. It's kind of gross, if I'm honest. Hang on, Shadow. I'm kind of distracted right now. I missed whatever question you asked. So forgive me for being distracted by the fact that my base is being attacked by dicks! I need you to get over here. Oh, where is it? There it is. Go. Okay, now. So what's up, Shadow? What was your question? I really missed that. I wasn't even... Yeah, I'm actually being distracted. This is actually a pretty rough mission, in all honesty. I usually have a really hard time... Oh, you asshole. With the first part of this mission. Because once you get going and you get the momentum going, then okay, sure. But getting that momentum going, you start this mission at a huge disadvantage. If I would show you the map right now, you would understand just how much the Zerg completely overwhelmed me in every way. This is the typical approach to difficulty back in the day, for lack of a better way to put that. In other words, we're going to have difficulty by putting the AI at a huge advantage over you. Make it work. And, yeah, we have 2 dinky little bases with limited resources, and they have the entire rest of the map, and a tremendous amount of entrenchment going on. Yeah, there's like 5... You know what, hang on, let me save really quick, because I really don't want to cheat. Black Sheep Wall. Look at this map. They've got this major entrenchment, this entrenchment over here, this one up here, this one over here, and then the colossal one in the middle surrounding the Overmind itself. And these 2 AIs are just constantly hammering the crap out of you. So, yeah, it's a fun mission. I don't mind revealing the map on this one because I already know the layout. That's nothing revealed for me. I was just showing you guys. If I'm not mistaken, this is one of those infinite resources ones. For those of you not aware, a common way they tend to, for lack of a better term, cheat the difficulty is they give the AI infinite resources, and I'm pretty sure this is one of those circumstances. 1, 2, 3, 4. They do that quite a bit, especially in older RTSs. Some of the newer RTSs actually have an option which specifically says cheat AI option. Like StarCraft 2 actually has an option where... Oh, jeez. God damn it! Really? It has an option where it says you can turn the AI on with infinite money. You can turn the AI on with perfect visibility. That's another thing that old RTSs tend to do. The AI knows where you are. Like, forever, all the time. They know exactly where you are and what you're doing. And oh god, we are... suddenly resource dried. Go. You have... I have a new job for you. I have a new job for you. Go! Get up there. And do this. We need to expand, basically now. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts at this point. We need to expand, like, right freaking now. My tank's still coming. They are still coming. Okay, thank God. Get up there. I'm not cheating, damn it. There's one mission I don't want to cheat on. It's this one. I love earning my victory on this map. Now, I need to expand pretty much pronto. Good news is, I know that I can do that. Now, we're kind of holding back on resource consumption at the moment. We do have our first fleet going. We're going to burn a lot of those resources. I mean, that was like a 1,500 minerals right there, getting them their initial batch of interceptors. So you see that right there? That's why tanks are awesome. Tanks have greater range than defilers. So we have basically just kind of gotten rid of the defiler problem on the southern edge here. Which is one of the reasons I was in such a hurry to get this frickin' factory going. And then forgot about it like an idiot. Actually, we'll put you over here. Okay, we have our first expansion point. Right here. Yeah, I know, Leander. That always has amused me, and it adds to the flavor of it, too. Whoa, whoa, too far. Don't go too far. And one more. What happened? Oh, what? What? How? How? They just walked by the defensive line to attack my factory. What the hell is this? What the crap is this? Hey, really? Really? Here, go salvage that. Quickly, please. Please. Oh, God, hurry up. Oh, God, where are you? Get up here. Okay, salvaged. God, they just completely ignored the frontal... Oh, gee. Oh, Okay, where's Raynor? Raynor, I need you to flee. You are more important than your troops. So the Terran base is gone. Like, seriously, they are dead. So, we're just gonna flee here. We need to expand, like, right freaking now. Yeah. We also have no mineral income right now. Literally none. Bye, Terrans. It's nice knowing you. What is the guild collection? I've never even heard of this. Well, thank you, Wilson. I've never even heard of this game. I'll look forward to exploring it in the future. Yeah, we're about to spam them, so, you know. Yeah, it's too late. The Terrans are gone. There's not even an SCV left, so there's no rebuilding them. Okay, get a Nexus going, like, right now, because we are literally resource dry right now. We have no source of minerals. Hey, Codex. Okay, I want you to get the hell over here. Raynor, there you are. Raynor, get over here. Raynor cannot be defended right now, so he needs to get the hell out of Dodge. So we're going to put him, like, right next to one of these piles. Whoa, something's hitting him. What's hitting him? Oh, God, why are there... What? Wait, where did those come from? Ah, turn around. Kill. Kill the Hydralisks that appeared out of freaking nowhere. What the hells? Ah! Get in the shuttle. Get over here, you slow asses. If we lose that Nexus, this is effectively the end of the mission. I cannot win with 12 carriers. Okay. Meanwhile, the Hyperion is limping along. Horner's on board. What are you doing to my ship? Yeah, here they come. They know we're here, and they're like, oh, well, this is your next expansion, so screw you. The AI always likes to prioritize targeting, basically nearest expansion, nearest nexus point. Oh my god! Get in the shuttle! Nexus, I need you to survive while the carriers deal with this. Hey, Liberated. Oh my god. Okay, that was most of the force they just attacked me with, so... Now, we have a huge problem here. If a Defiler manages to get a Plague off on the carriers, that's bad. Tips, Liberated? Yeah, have fun with it. Pretty much every strategy works. It's a lot funner with a friend. Okay, so we need what is in the technical term referred to as minerals out the ass. So we're gonna get going like right now with some frickin' mineral production. We're okay on gas at the moment. We won't be forever, ironically. But I want at least one more group of carriers before I begin my movement against them. No! Go! Raynor, you are their only hope. Quite literally. Oh, Jesus, this is bad. Yeah, I can a little bit. I can be like this, and I could do this, and I could do this, and I could do this. I hate microing. I do. What do you want from me? Go mine. Okay, Raynor has salvaged some of the situation here. Zeratul like, Comrade Raynor, you could use a repair. Maybe you should go do that. Raynor's like, damn it, Zeratul, I'm a doctor, not a... Wait. See, the problem is there is no real, Tassadar, yeah, Tassadar's right here. You're right, we should get him. Raynor, get back. Tassadar, go forward. You are now my mobile response unit. I'm watching for defilers. Defilers are bad. Someone lost... I don't know who that was, Groat. But yeah, we need all these resources. We need so many of these minerals. No! Well, at least we killed the Defiler. So here's the weird thing about the Plague. It will only hurt their hull, not their shields. It's still bad. It's just not as bad as if that hit, say, a bunch of battle cruisers. Hate Defilers. The AI is stupid good with targeting with Defile. With Plague, excuse me. They are really good at aiming that. Yeah. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and shunt you forward and you forward. And we're going to move you two back here. Really wish I could repair Protoss craft. That would be helpful. What's attacking? Where's the attack happening? Oh, there it is. I should have samurai, but I basically flung my hands up in the air. And yeah, siege tanks are pretty much the perfect Defiler counter. Shrug. Yeah, it's another reason we need to separate these guys out a bit more while we're on defensive duty here. More minerals. We need lots more minerals. Like, lots more minerals. I want at least another fleet going here. We can go back. We can get back to getting some upgrades going, which looks like we're actually doing. Need any more? Oh, guess we don't. I don't remember, Groat, in all honesty. Not that it matters for me right now. I don't have any SCVs left, but I really don't remember. Yeah, they hit me with everything they needed to. Bunch of little units to distract the defenses, bunch of Ultralisks to take out the buildings, a few mutas to piss me off, and I think there's at least one Defiler in that mess. That was a pretty effective attack. And my defenses were not going to hold that back, and I know that, and it sucks, whatever. Yeah. We have 3 down there. Okay, so I think we're good on mineral production at the moment. So we're just going to leave that be. And where is it? It's right there. Yeah, we'll be doing all the upgrades, really, but right now I just want that firepower, because I want to get on the offensive as quickly as I can. I need 4,500 minerals to make another fleet. I see that coming. Any defilers? Is it sad that that's like all I'm looking out for? None of the rest of this matters to a fleet of carriers, but if I see a defiler, I'm like, ugh. Yeah, the orange cloud. As soon as I saw the orange cloud, that was over. In fact, if you were watching, I was actually preparing to counter and get my defenses ready, and then I saw the orange cloud perfectly stationed over two of my bunkers, and I just was like, nope! Get Raynor out! Get Raynor out! It's over! I hate defilers. God. Unlike Reavers, I hate defilers in general. Not just, using or being used against. I freaking hate defilers. Go there. Now, the only good thing about the AI in this map is they basically never expand. They don't need to, so, that makes sense. Yes, Chemic. basically. They have infinite resources. We have finite resources, and they can always see us. This is a soft enrage map. Very much so. And we're gonna go ahead and set up another nexus here. We really want to be strip mining resources as fast as possible so we can get on the offensive as fast as possible. Hey, Zagoten. Hello, Nemesis. Starcraft. They like harassing with queens, too. It's a fairly common tactic for them. I think we have enough minerals that we can go and rebuild some of this defensive line. So we're going to go ahead and do that really quick. Yeah, exactly, Grote. Except for some of them. I mentioned earlier, stasis is just kind of irritating. If I could micro better, I would love being a caster type in Starcraft 1, but I can't. I can't be like, select this guy, hit this button, hit it here. Select this guy, hit this button, hit him here. There's another irritant, and Warcraft 3 actually solved this in UE problems. If I select someone with a cast ability, let's see if I can use this. I don't think I can use an example right now, but if I select, like, a Templar and another unit that is not a Templar, I can't use the Templar's abilities. I have to select just the Templar to use his abilities, or just Templar-type units, which really, really gets irritating, actually. In Warcraft 3, they added the tab function. If you have a group with multiple people with abilities, you can tab between them. So this guy has heal, this guy has cast, etc., and shah, like that. Whoop, hello. I think we're good up there for the moment. The funny thing is you can't even win this battle with attrition. You just can't. The enemy has infinite resources. So, not happening. Alright, so let's get started on the next fleet, shall we? There we go. And you just hang out there for a moment. Where's my fleet? We're good, we're good. Continue getting me minerals, my minions. I need all of them. No, seriously, I need all of them. Actually, I guess I don't need an observer. The Zerg have no cloaked units. I mean, they have burrowed units, but who gives a damn? Really? Ah! Okay. New plan. That is true, Grote. I will agree with that. Yeah, usually when I do this mission, I actually usually split it up. I have 24 carriers and 12 battle cruisers, and that's my norm. That's my assault force right there. So I should have realized they'd be attacking here now. Oh God, Scourge! Just grin and bear it. Just grin and bear it. Okay, they're gone. We lost a carrier to the Scourge there. Okay, hang on. Now we gotta spread out again, because they're gonna be starting hitting up here now. So we have to micro now. Damn it. Oh, no, I don't want you up there. I want you back. Let's get you up there instead, and you like here, and you like over here. And you over here. Oh God, are you kidding me? Go! This is the only downside of carrier. Well, okay, there's like 5 downsides of carriers. They are a slow response time unit. If you, they are the totally opposite of Mutalisks. They are not a good defensive force if you only have the one fleet, which I do right now, as you can see. So that's 4, 8. Let's get the final round of the second fleet going there. Oh my God. You know what? Here. I could use at least 4 more. I'm actually debating setting up some cannons, just as a backup plan. In fact, I think I'll do exactly that. Nah, I can't spare the resources for scouts right now. Ironically. I am actually in a really bad situation resource-wise right now. I need to buy a few more minutes of time. So we're going to set up a single nexus point here. Right about here. And we're going to use that to try and deal with this. 6 carriers risks losing them. Losing a carrier is not something I can really afford doing right now. One more. Just the one. Basically, what I'm going to do is set up a photon nexus. His only job is slowing them down. Just a little nexus, not a big one. Not a full one. Can't afford a full one. Like, say, about that for now. I'll consider doing more in a minute. And same thing over here. Now, we need this nexus to be right on the nexus. So... okay, 2 more there. Let's start sinking this expense. Minerals be gone! The fact that they haven't attacked in a while is really bothering me. But yeah, those pylons are there, or those cannons are there to give the fleet time to show up, basically. The AI, fortunately, never targets pylons primarily. It's actually kind of funny, considering how most players I know do exactly that. God, I'm actually tense. Oh. Yeah, I'm thinking there might be 2. Couple more over here would be nice. We're going to set up a couple more. Like that. Speaking of which, oh, I see where that's coming. Go this way. Ironically, the Confederacy might have already dealt with this problem. So yeah, that plague, look at what that plague did to my things. Now, they still have shields, which is the only reason they endured that assault, but, plague is great for anti, there you are, I knew you were there. Plague is great for anti-defenses in general, really. And Guardian's coming. Yeah, I'm glad I saw that one. I gotta be honest, this map is insane. I will... 100% honesty, guys. I have never beaten this map without relying on a fleet. As I said before, my usual is actually a combination battlecruiser carrier fleet. But, yeah. I've never beaten this map without a fleet of some kind. We have our 2 fleets, though, so that's nice. So I'm basically running at 2/3 power of what I'm used to, so this should be interesting. We're going to be a little cautious with our forces here, especially since we're still a little bit dry on resources. If we lose these fleets right now, we do not have the ability to replenish them. We might have the ability to replenish them given enough time, if I manage to hold on to my bases. Hello. This way, please. I see you there, Ultralisk. As an aside, I think the Ultralisks look way cooler in Starcraft 2 than 1. Anyone else thoughts on that? So you notice I'm scouting way ahead of the carriers. It is possible for a Defiler to drop a plague on the interceptors, not the carriers, which is ideal, actually, because, I mean, that's great. And then they have no ability to drop it on the thing you actually don't want them to drop it on. But, yeah, hello, advance. Yeah, this probably would have pushed through my cannons if I had let them reach the base. Alright, I know where I'm attacking first. Except... Hang on, pull back, pull back. Go over here. Yeah, honestly, I had a trouble understanding what I was looking at when I look at the sprite in StarCraft 1. So what I need to do, more than anything else right now, is get back here. And have you go over here. And we need to get ready for a loss. Have I ever told you guys the story of how I started getting good, quote-unquote, at RTSs? Started getting better. It's actually probably a less horrible way to say that. Oh god, they're coming up from up there. This one. Focus fire. Battle cruisers can focus, or excuse me, carriers can focus fire so wonderfully. Oh yeah, tell me about it, Samurai. Worlds will be shaken indeed. The story is really simple. I used to, the very, very first few times I played Warcraft, Warcraft 2, Command and Conquer, Starcraft, all those games, yeah, we lost one. That was unavoidable, really. Grin and Barrett! Scourge! The very first time I used to play with cheats on, like, all the time, because I just wasn't good. And the funny thing was, I never bothered to try and get good, as weird as that sounds. I never actually had the motivation to try and actually improve my game. If you don't understand what I mean by that, I would not accept a loss. StarCraft, the original StarCraft, actually taught me how to accept losing. I'm actually really embarrassed to admit this, but I was a rage quitter. I was the kind of guy who I would be losing a match, especially online, against other players, and I would rage quit. I'd be like, ugh, because I couldn't cheat, and I didn't want to accept losing. It was just, no, damn it. I have done that case now. I'm actually going to do it again for the Lorerun, so... Bees. Endless bees. Anyways, StarCraft taught me how to accept a loss. And I've actually considered that, and in all joking aside, I genuinely think that was a good life lesson for me to learn. The ability to accept losing. Because once you accept losing, you can get better. You can improve. You can try to be more on your game and actually try to improve, rather than just saying, screw it, and not dealing with it. And like I said, StarCraft is actually the one that taught me that. Which I consider to be pretty awesome overall. Because and I've said it before, when you're under gun, you tend to be a lot more creative in general. And so I finally reached a point where I was talking with my friend John, who I played a lot of StarCraft with, and we were both like, okay, look, we're both kind of terrible here. How do we get better? And we're both thinking about it, and I admitted that fact to him, and he is the same way, and we both made a pact with each other. We're like, okay, look, we're going to just start doing some matches. If we lose, we have to fight it out till the end. We can't, we can't just G-quit. We can't just quit out because we've lost. Any of you who remember me watching me play StarCraft 2's Legacy Beta online thing, you may remember I refused to quit even though I had lost several of the matches. It's kind of that mindset still active in my brain. It never actually went away. The idea of, okay, I have to learn to just lose and then try to adapt and move with it rather than trying to be like, table flip, long before the table flip occurred. Hey, Dios. Dude, video games have been teaching me life lessons for forever. Are you freaking kidding me? That's not a joke. Okay, so I have two options here. I'm going to go with the safe route because I'm not confident in my victory at the moment. Nope, are we here? Good, okay. Basically, I want to get another base going over here, so I have another backup resource generation source, and I want to take out all of red before I move on the Overmind. I admit part of that is also because of simple vindictiveness, because I want to completely annihilate the enemy. So yeah, we are going to be wiping red off the face of the map for the Raynor's Raiders that died trying to buy Raynor and the Hyperion time to get away. And you gotta admit, that's actually the kind of thing that probably actually would have happened in lore. Huh? I mean, can't you picture so many of the Raiders being like, oh no, and the Hyperion's under gun and they can't get away, and the Raiders stay back and are like, no, we'll buy you time. Get out, Raynor, get out. And Matt Horner's like, no, we can't leave them. And Raynor's like, God, Matt, we have to leave them. We can't hold the line. No, you know. I could totally see that scene happening. That, and I just kind of want to salt the earth with the Zerg right now. No offense or nothing. Oh, Scourge! Scourge! Lots and lots of Scourge! Oh, okay, okay. It's over. The Scourge have finished pummeling me. Ow. Fortunately, I do have enough of a resource chain right now to get reinforcements back into the mix. Am I the only one who does that? Where I just flinch when I see a swarm of Scourge coming? It is possible to micro enough to take them out. I freely admit I'm just not good at it. You have to be able to target the Scourge as they're on approach, and you have about a second to do it. Because they're fast-moving bastards, and they don't have to actually reach you, they just have to get in range of you to detonate. And they suck, and I hate them. So yeah, nowadays my response to a Scourge evasion is basically just to grin and bear it. Take it on the teeth! Okay, I think we've basically... Yeah, this is it. This is the last red base. Red is out of the match. Let's get our reinforcements going. How are they coming? They're almost done. How is this going? Excellent. Let's get some of everything going. Hey. Actually, no, you don't. Go! You require more Vespine gas. Gosh, I hope not. I got 4,000 banked right now. Like I said, we're just doing a little Nexus. That's just there to give anything a response time, if necessary. But I think we've got this at this point. We're going to go ahead and get our reinforcements going. There's two strategies I've seen for assaulting the final Overmind base. Strategy 1 is all in. Strategy 2 is pincer attack. To be honest with you, I'm not actually sure which strategy is better. Pincer attack does have the downside of splitting your forces, but it also means you get hit with less of the main AoE stuff. The Scourge, that they throw at you don't hit the main bulk of your forces, or you can mitigate some of the damage your fleet takes so more of your ships reach the middle, etc. It does take longer because your damage is less focused, which is, of course, the advantage of the attack move strategy. AKA, you can... really focus fire buildings down with 24 carriers very, very quickly. So you guys as my witness, no cheats. I think I got this at this point. What? Go! Go, my fleets! God, we're on the other side of the Overmind from them. What the hell? I've actually tried to suicide run the Overmind. It usually doesn't work out well. They will destroy aerial units that get in there. Their defense is actually very, very well defined to go be anti-air. They will annihilate air units. So I much prefer picking my way in than... I like how they're just kind of fidgeting like, can we attack now? Can we attack? Oh, God. Oh, God, they did rebuild. You bastards. Damn it, I thought I was playing Starcraft and suddenly... Oh, God, Scourge! Okay, we're going to try and take out at least a couple of them. Nope, didn't take out any. Oh! On the teeth! See, that's why I say it's not even... sometimes it's not even worth trying. Oh, God, more! Why? Like I said, those are purple, by the way. Oh, God, there's more coming! Meanwhile, the defense is held against red. Rather anticlimactic compared to what just happened. Damn it. Wipe them out. All of them. You know what? Let's do this old thing, shall we? And we're fully upgraded at this point. What? What? Ah! Go. Make things happen. Yeah, seriously, Hunter. I love me some Starcraft music, don't mistake. There you are. Yeah, don't mind my defenses over there. They're fine. They're fine. Everything's fine now. How are you? Now, I gotta be honest, I don't like attack moving with carriers unless I'm confident of victory. In fact, if you guys remember, I wasn't doing that in the previous map. I would specifically guide them in and focus targeting until I was sure there was no opposition. And then when that was done, I would go ahead and attack move the rest of the way. Don't worry, guys. I'm sure red is fine. Nice, Chemic. I have actually tried the Commander Assassin strategy several times in Total Annihilation, in Supreme Commander, and in Planetary Annihilation. Usually the only one it works in is Total Annihilation, and even then it's only because the AI doesn't know how to deal with an assassin attack. Wow, Darkrai. Nice collection there. Okay, we've almost got our interceptors going. Almost. Yeah, we're gonna wait just a little bit. No cheats still. You guys are my reference. I've not entered a single cheat in this one. How are we doing on those? I think we're good to start moving. So let's get up here. Wait, what? Oh God, we've screwed up our groups. Yeah, we're about ready to go hog wild, guys. Just about. I screwed up my control groups somehow, so we need to fix that real quick. There we go. No wonder I couldn't build another one. We're actually at 24. Yeah, I do have enough banked now so I can make a third fleet. So let's just move in. We're gonna do, like I said, we're gonna be kind of safe here. He has very good anti-air, and he knows I'm coming. And he wants to die anyways, so let's give him what he wants, boys. Scourge. Ow. I want you to target that. I want you to target that. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Now you move in like this, you move in like this. I want you on this. There we go. Good job, good job. Go up there. You move in the northern direction. You on that. You on that. Actually, let's reconnoiter. We're getting too extended. Carriers have a bad habit of getting too extended. Because if it dies, then the swarm is freed from Amon's influence, Night Forager. And if the swarm is not freed from Amon's influence, then all life dies. And believe it or not, the Overmind doesn't want that to happen. Wow, Groat. That's a funny way to do that. Alright, this is it, guys.
The enemy, the Overmind, has been weakened, but I fear we have sustained severe damage ourselves. I will steer the Gantrathor into a collision course with the Overmind. If I can channel enough of the Dark Templar's energy through the hull of the Gantrathor, I should be able to bring swift death to the accursed abomination. Remember us, Executor. Remember what was done here today. May Adun watch over you.
As the chaotic swirling energies subsided, a heavy silence settled over the battlefields of Ire. Due to Tassadar's noble sacrifice, the Overmind was now dead, and the Zerg swarms scattered and broken. But as the heroes surveyed their once glorious homeland, they realized their victory had cost them all but their lives. Ire was left nothing more than a smoldering ruin. Those few Protoss who survived the final battle could only wonder at what the future would hold for their race. And far away on the distant planet Char, the self-styled Queen of Blades knew that the time of her ascension was at hand. To be continued. I was so pissed off when I saw that for the first time. This was my first Blizzard cliffhanger. And I was like, no! What? Wasn't my last Blizzard cliffhanger, because they're all cliffhangers. Starcraft, ladies and gentlemen. I want to point out one thing really quick that I just think is really cool. First of all, as actually Zachariah just pointed out, what Tassadar just did was very, very difficult. He actually had to maintain focus, discipline, and self-cohesion while his ship was literally being torn apart around him. That says something right there. As a further aside, we do know, I actually looked in this a little bit, apparently that some of his essence did actually mingle with the Overmind, so that is confirmed when he destroyed it. That's probably part of why Tassadar was aware of the Overmind's prophecy to share it with Zeratul. Final interesting note. Remember, the 5th of November. Remember that the Overmind actually wanted to die, but was still a slave to the will of Amon, the will of Duran. So it could only arrange a situation by which it could die. It couldn't kill itself. It couldn't actually make it easy. It couldn't just walk up and say, shoot me! You know, it couldn't do that. I mention this because that's actually been relevant throughout most of this campaign, and we've pointed out several instances where the Overmind was trying to die, yet could only do so much. I mention this because if you're paying attention there, the Overmind opened a warp hole directly over it, like it was trying to escape. Which, God, wouldn't that have just been terrible for the Overmind? It went through all this effort and all this work across all this time and years and sacrifice, and then because it has to continue existing, it has to try to live because it is a slave to the will of Amon, it has to try and flee for its life. And imagine if it had actually gotten away. Oh, that would have been terrible. But thankfully, Tassadar was willing to take himself down in order to do it. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we don't actually know how many people are crewed on a carrier. I mean, there's tons of room on a carrier for other people, but we don't know the actual crew complement. I've always had the impression that Tassadar basically told everyone to get the hell off his ship when he did the final charge. But it's possible he didn't. There are probably other Protoss, or sorry, it is a possibility that other Protoss were on the Gantry when it nuked into the Overmind there. So I'm going to go ahead and cut off the stream for a bit for recording and whatnot purposes, and then we're going to start us a brood war. I'm also going to eat some lunch really quick, so I'll be back, guys.